is, would you have played Roberts?
Well, that's going to be the question,
Pritchard.
isn't it? And Roberts both on the bench, and he's gone with Barr. Now that will be certainly, I suspect, a talking point amongst supporters.
Well, it'll be a talking point. You know, obviously he's got his reasons why he's gone with Barr rather than Roberts. But again, you look at the game, the importance of the game, the experience which you do need. You know, I would have gone with maybe Roberts or Pritchard. They might have picked up a knock. They might have looked at him, maybe a little bit fatigued. But you know, you've got to say that they've done tremendously well. We're still in with a shout. It's great that the season's still alive. But you know, the results went our way as well. So for me, I would have played Roberts. Definitely would have played Roberts.
It's certainly an interesting one, and of course, at the moment, the table, I mean, extraordinary. Yesterday, all the results really went in favour of Sunderland. Draws largely amongst teams. Millwall seem to have, well, they've just seemed to have imploded, haven't they? And if Millwall miss out now, it would be extraordinary, having been so dominant in the playoff positions in the top half of the table for most of the season.
Well, we've said before, there's going to be twists and turns, you know, before the end of the season, and we've seen that with the results. You know, you look at Burnley, you know, Queen's Park Rangers beating Burnley. You know, you're thinking, yeah, if they would have won yesterday, they would have won the title. You look at Blackburn, Preston yesterday. You know, the results there, and you mentioned Millwall.
And Blackburn must be wondering what they've done this week to lose, to see Ben Wilson equalise in added time on Wednesday night, and then yesterday Preston equalised in added time at Deepdale,
and then Norwich.
And Norwich as well. Yeah, again, another team that seemed to hit the buffers.
Yeah, and we can always look back and say ifs and buts and whatever. And you're thinking, if we would have picked up 2 points here, if we would have won on against Huddersfield in midweek, you know, where we could have been. You know, the talk is, if we didn't have as many injuries as we've had this season, and to be fair, we've done really well without them, and credit to Tony Mowbray and the staff, because they haven't come out and, shall we say, complained or moaned and said, oh well, this, that, they've just got on with it. We've had to adjust. We've had to adjust this afternoon. You know, Danny Bart's going to be a huge miss, but rather than saying, oh well, Danny this, that, and this, we've moved on and said, look, it is what it is. We've got to deal with the situation.
Now, the situation is that Blackburn and West Bromwich Albion do both have games in hand actually this week. It'll be Sheffield United away for West Bromwich Albion this week. I'm not sure who Blackburn have got, but
Blackburn have got Burnley.
That's Burnley. That's right. We were talking this earlier. So potentially, you argue that wins for Sheffield United and Burnley, and you would have to hope so, wouldn't you, if Sunderland get a positive result today?
Yeah. Listen, let's get today's result out of the way. If we get a result today, okay, it's okay them having games in hands, but we've been there before. You can have as many games in hands as you want, you've got to win them. As simple as that. So, you know, what we've got to sort of say, take each game as they come, win today. You know, we've got Watford, then Preston. That's what you've got to take each game as they come, and yeah, but let's get 3 points today and see where we are, and then fingers crossed for midweek, and then go and win at home against Watford.
Indeed, just a reminder, the team shows 3
Louise,
changes.
passes them through the what, please, mate?
Hume, O'Nien and Sirkin, Gooch and Clark, Neil Ekwa, Ahmad, Gelhart and Barr, and the benches Bass, Roberts, Pritchard, Anderson, Taylor, Liaji and Mishu, and Yokozlu comes in for Chalabar, who's injured for West Bromwich Albion, who make one change from their team that won 2-0 at Blackpool in the week, and currently they sit just above Sunderland by a point, but they have a game
what are you doing, Elu?
hand. Let's head to the Solway Riviera. Rob Mason, Sunderland's club historian, probably basking in sunshine.
He's going to say that anyway.
And I have to admit, at the moment, we are in sunshine. Well, I say technically we're not actually, because we're under the roof of the stand here. We're out on the gantry, overlooking the pitch, the television gantry. Good morning. It is morning, I've been reminded of. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, Gary and Nick.
Good morning. Go on, breaking news.
I can do these things, whether they actually work. Take me sunglasses off, feeling collided after glorious sunshine. Really, Gary, it's a bit cloudy, but it's quite nice.
Well,
it's because it's been dead for ages.
It's dry. The Hawthorns then, I mean, a lot of people talking about the Hawthorns as a ground. They love good atmosphere. I think that atmosphere is going to be ranked up this afternoon because they play the Liquidator before kickoff again. They stopped doing it because the West Brom fans put some abusive language about Wolverhampton Wanderers into the song. So they stopped it, but they're going to bring it back this afternoon to sort of ramp up the atmosphere ahead of the game today. But you've been here on many occasions. It is one of the older grounds, and the older ground with good atmosphere.
I was West Albion when I was a student.
Oh, go me!
So do you add it and then do you add your
with a West Bromwich Albion supporter and
yes,
I'm
so
well
URL
versed in
and
all things back east and go and watch that
URL.
from within
And obviously, thankfully, we'll have the same login for everything. You do.
yeah,
But I was like, I couldn't get in because the email address wasn't on my word.
as much as
It's still our dance group.
my favourite
Oh, is that
ground
still
is
the email
club in the
to get
middle
in?
of
Yes,
West
which
Brom. Not
you
today,
put on the
obviously.
picture, and I don't think you can change it.
Yes, and of course,
Because that's what
for Tony Mowbray,
we still have that.
returned to a club where he
That can be our
is,
backup email if you ever
without
need to set a
question,
backup
he's
email.
still held in very, very
Well,
high
it is
esteem by
our backup
West
email.
Bromwich Albion fans. I saw several down below us
So,
earlier on asking for autographs, and he's been back a few times this season. We'll hear from him before kickoff. He got them promoted. I mean, there was, those 3 years when Roy Keane was in charge at Sunderland. There was a match here which I think he and Roy fell out, but it was a feisty build-up, as I recall, to that particular game.
oh, so it's the Cumbria Downs group at
Gmail.
Gmail. Yeah, I've never used that one.
Tony Mowbray's
That's
manager
what we
of.
had to use PayPal. Yeah. Because
He's
for
one of those
PayPal,
people
you
in
use
football, I
Gmail,
think, who's earned his good reputation
mine's
as a
Hotmail. So
football
when we set up
manager,
PayPal, but
as
we
a
set up that
person.
email address.
I think he's a genuine
And to be
person.
honest,
I
it's
think
quite
we
a
all
good
see
one,
that
because it's quite a generic
Sunderland.
one, regardless of what your name is.
And he's very well thought of, and rightly so. Nobody is claiming he's the best manager in the world. Tony's not claiming that himself. But I think he's done a fantastic job at Sunderland, and clearly, as we saw with the reception of Blackburn Rovers and the reception he'll deserve a big he's well thought of it. His clubs he's been to.
Well, we haven't really got a lot done yet, anyway. But do we put
Rob, we're going to leave it there because your line, I think, because it's so warm in southwest Scotland, there's obviously interference, and you're breaking up a bit. So we'll leave it there for this afternoon. But thanks for joining us, Rob Mason, Sunderland Club historian. We'll hear more actually next weekend because, of course, it's ahead of the celebrations for the FA Cup 50th anniversary, building up to that on May the 5th. As I say, it's forecast to rain later, I think that's probably at around 3 o'clock.
on Monday, I think, for me.
Well, after this match has finished. Now, I mean, Rob touched on it there. Tony Mowbray will never claim to be the greatest manager in the world. But what he has achieved
You've had a
this
cough for
season
more
for
than a week.
Sunderland in the circumstances
Lately, got
is remarkable.
Yeah, it is indeed, and we've touched on it a few
I've got more
times
tears left
in
after that
regards
much
of
crying.
management, and your experience speaking to Tony
Tony
week
lost.
in, week out, you find that as well in regards of what
Get
he
more
actually
flowers this
talks
weekend.
about. It's not just football related, it's
Get
life
you a tent, Ellen?
related, but he relates to both together. And again, he relates a lot to his family, and he relates to a lot in regards of values, what you need to bring to the table, what it takes.
Was that was
to,
good, Luke? Did you like it?
Be a professional footballer, to perform at the top level,
Is it?
and he tries to get that message over to the
Like your
players.
living area.
I mean, there's certainly, he's got a way about him, and the way he talks to them. He has talked a lot, actually. I spoke to
That's
him
fine.
about this last week, about Mike Dodds and Michael Proctor, and what they have also brought to the table as young coaches. And it's the blend is absolutely right in that sense of Alessandro Bacciarini, the goalkeeping coach. But there is something about, I mean, I think someone touched on this earlier this week when I think Tony Mowbray mentioned it. There is a point in a footballer's life when you are playing in a team where you don't necessarily win anything, you don't necessarily win a championship, but that blend, that team, is a team that you remember for the rest of your footballing career and probably the rest of your life. Something happens within that team that gives it a really good spirit and something that all the players will remember. And I get a sense that that's happened this season with Sunderland.
Well, you've just mentioned it there. You used the word there, spirit. We've talked a lot about spirit, team spirit. You know, you've got to have that in the changing rooms, and that's amongst the players. You've got to trust each other. You know, if you've got trust in the players who you're playing with around you, then, you know, you'll feel safe, you'll feel that you can go out and achieve anything because you know that the so-called got your back. You know, if you are going into war, it's a waste of time, one, if you're going into war. You know, you need to go in as a team. You know, we talk about you attack as a team and you defend as a team. It's not an individual game. You know, it's not just a case of, oh, your man scored. It's a case of, you know, you've scored against the team, and again, you know, we talk about covering for each other. If somebody falls over, have you got that cover? If somebody misses a header, is somebody else going to cover for you? You know, and again, we talk about getting people in the box. The more people you've got in the box, the more chance you've got of scoring. The more players you've got singing off the same hymn sheet, you've got more chance of winning.
I want to ask you about recruitment in a moment. I want to remind everybody, because this is quite important, a bit of housekeeping, is that because, of course, this afternoon at 2 o'clock, it's Newcastle United against Tottenham Hotspur. And we'll have full commentary from St James's Park with Razor and Ando of that match. But because our game finishes around about 2 o'clock, build up for the Newcastle match with Razor and Ando will start at 1 o'clock, but it will start on FM. So if you want to stay with Sunderland for the second half, you need to be on DAB or Freeview 719. We'll be on all frequencies until 1 o'clock this afternoon, but from 1 o'clock, as I compete with the PA here, we will have Newcastle on FM, and Sunderland's second half against West Bromwich Albion will be on DAB and Freeview 719.
Can you please remind our listeners what's going to happen at 3 o'clock?
There is, we heard it in the news, and we've been busily sitting at breakfast trying to turn off all our alerts on our phone. I think we've probably turned off half the phone, and probably half the phone's functions don't work now, because in a bid to try and silence this emergency alert at 3 o'clock, which would be quite interesting. I'm thinking about the Newcastle game at 3 o'clock. If St James's Park suddenly is just a cacophony of alerts going off. So that'll be interesting later on this afternoon. But I'll remind you about the build-up and the frequencies throughout the first half. And Dom, I'm sure, when he gives you his sports roundup and at half-time, I'll remind you as well. I was going to ask you about recruitment, because recruitment this summer is actually going to be critical, isn't it? Either division, whether Sunderland are in the Championship, the recruitment is absolutely critical, because you want to move this squad on, right? But you don't want to unsettle the team spirit you just talked about. And if they get to the Premier League, it's an outside chance, but if they get to the Premier League, even more important to get that recruitment right and not upset something which actually could, in the Premier League, have a big contribution to Sunderland's chances of survival.
Correct. And, you know, if you're looking at recruitment, then you're most probably looking at maybe three
don't need
main
family fun, it's wrecking all the clothes. Like.
Everybody wants an out.
Or maybe you should have got a washing machine instead of a fucking tent.
You know, no matter
what
division you're playing
in.
If you've got somebody who can put the ball in the back of the net,
I can afford
that's what we need. Now, we might need one, we might need two. Again, when you're talking about midfield, you're looking for that creative midfield player, but also somebody who can also add goals. That's what we're looking for. And then, okay, we look at the heart of defence. We've seen that with Danny Bart, somebody who can do the job in regards of no messing about, wins it, puts his heads on it, is a ball winner, does it, gives it to the midfield, let them get on with it. So yeah, recruitment's going to be very, very important, but we all know that what we'll be looking for. We do need a striker or two.
I think people will argue it's going to be two, haven't they, on the evidence of what's happened over the last season.
We definitely need that. You know, we mostly need another midfield player. and maybe a couple of defenders. But I think one thing which we do need as well, when we are looking at that, then you are looking at a little bit of pace, aren't you? Pace. If you've got somebody who's got a bit of pace, and we played Birmingham 2 weeks ago, and straight away the player who stood out against us was the lad Chong.
It's still too early.
Right side. He caused us 1 or 2 problems. Last week.
There's another frost this week forecast.
Huddersfield, Paroma, he had a bit of pace, and it's important. That's one thing which you cannot defend against. You cannot defend against pace. It causes numerous problems. If you've got somebody who's got a bit of pace, and that will cause problems right throughout. And I think that's what we're looking for.
I was watching earlier on, they had the mascots out. They've got them out on the pitch now, and the 2 club mascots were out. Of course, it's Samson and Delilah at Sunderland. Here, there's a throttle, and she was wandering about. There is also, it made me look twice, there's a boiler. And it's sponsored by a heating firm, the club.
What do you mean the boiler?
There's one of the mascots wandering around.
Please describe what a boiler is.
Well, you know what your boiler looks like in your cupboard. Well, there's one that wanders around on the pitch before the game. I don't know where they've gone now. They've obviously gone somewhere. But you watch it.
Am I in the right stream? Am I?
Mascots race, which I think was televised at some point. The boiler caused an uproar. I think it was a bit got a bit.
How are you doing? All right?
A bit heated. Very good. Got a bit heated. It's worth seeing now. I did a double take when I saw this boiler wandering out on the pitch.
You know why that is? You know why it got heated?
Go on.
It's under pressure. I'll tell you what, who writes these scripts? Who writes these scripts? I'll tell you what.
One of those afternoons, I think.
Can't even fit anything at the moment,
actually, but it's
that's why you need a boiler.
Indeed, exactly. So switch it on.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll hear from Dan Neil and Tony Mowbray before kick-off at 12 o'clock. I remember that. I'm going to get I'm all out.
Are you optimistic today?
I already thought it was afternoon, and it's not yet. So 12
That's
o'clock.
ridiculous.
Kick-off.
It's a long shot beating these today, like, isn't it?
The game here at the Hawthorns will be on
Christ
DAB
almighty.
and Freeview 719, and the build-up to the Newcastle match from 1 on FM. That game.
But they beat us at the Stadium of Light.
2 o'clock at St James's Park. Both games on BBC Radio Newcastle. There's plenty of sport, happening yesterday. Some twists and turns. Certainly the tops of all the divisions are very, very interesting. The bottoms as well.
I'm winding my neck in about top 6. I mean, I'm just trying to be realistic. I mean, we're losing Danny Bath as well. Christ, he's got any players left.
Last night, we'll get a roundup of all that. There's cricket as well, of course. Durham are at Glamorgan in Cardiff. Martin Emerson's there for us. We'll get a roundup, updates from there too, and doing all of that.
Would a draw be good today?
Newcastle's own old boiler, actually, he's a young boiler. Dominic James. Good
morning,
Dom.
Nick. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning indeed. Nick, Gary, thank you very much indeed. We'll head back to the Hawthorns shortly to continue build up to West Brom versus Sunderland in the Championship. As Bonzi's mentioned, we'll be splitting our frequencies at half time during the Sunderland match, so Newcastle can start their build up from.
But this way, I don't think we've got anything to be afraid of against Watford. They're absolutely terrible.
It's a pretty huge game in the race for Champions League football. Newcastle take on Tottenham at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Matthew Raceback, our Newcastle United commentator, has been talking to the Magpies head coach Eddie Howe, and he began by asking him about the fitness of Alan St Maximin.
No, there's not been a setback.
Look, Sunderland just have to go today.
A little bit longer than we hopefully.
They've got no to lose. They don't.
No major setback. No.
They're not expected to be in the playoffs. Just to enjoy the game. There's no pressure. And see what happens. That's all you can do. If they lose today, then they haven't been disgraced by a long shot.
You need him and ask him to start against Spurs. Is he ready and fit enough for that?
He's an option. I'd say he's in contention. Yeah, he's had minimal training. He's trained this week and trained well, as Miggy usually does. I was pleased to see him back on the pitch. But prior to that, he had quite a long absence. So we'll wait and see. I'll try and make the right call for him and the team.
Eddie Howe there speaking ahead of today's game against Tottenham in the Premier League. That's our secondary commentary game. We have another commentary as well. It's in the cricket. Durham are away to Glamorgan in the county championship. It's the final day there. They've just got underway about half an hour ago. Our cricket commentator Martin Emerson can tell us how it's going.
Yes, we've had a blighted match here with regards to the weather. We lost all of day 2 and then half of day 3.
Yeah, we've got a decent goal difference, haven't we?
We've lost 141 overs. But Durham is still in a good position. They declared at the end of their first innings on 471 for 9. And then last night, by the time rain came and ruined things around about 4:30, they'd reduced Glamorgan to 153 for 5. There's been 1 wicket so far this morning. It was in the first full over of the day, the 3rd ball from it. Bryden Carse bowling, and he edged to the keeper when he was on 32. But the one man who was leading things from a Glamorgan point of view and who has frustrated Durham a number of times in recent years is Kieran Carlson. Could have been out on none yesterday. A bouncer from Bryden Carse hit him in the chest, rolled onto the stumps, but the bails didn't come off. He's currently on 60. That's his 4th consecutive half-century against Durham, including 81 in the Glamorgan's Cup final win against them 2 years ago as well. And at the other end, Dan Douthwaite is on 12. So Glamorgan at the moment, 180 for 6. They still trail by 291. The target to avoid the follow-on is 322. So that's got to be on Durham's mind. Get these last 4 wickets, get them in again. It's nice and sunny at the moment. It's warm, but there is the warning of some more weather around from about 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon and possibility of some rain. So if Durham could sort this out by then, that would be a mammoth win for them. But the likelihood is it's probably going to be a draw. But we'll see how things develop as the day goes on.
I looked on the live score up on my phone. It really opens your eyes when you see
BBC Sports app head over there. And,
how many injuries we've actually got.
Over there. Back to football.
I think, my God, we've done superb to be where we are. We really have. I mean, you know, that's been the most of the season, that injury list, mate, bar adding another 3 or 4.
Manchester City beat Sheffield United 3-0 yesterday.
I mean, Huggins has been out.
Underway.
And he's a good player, Huggins. He's hardly played.
And in the Women's Championship today, Durham faced Birmingham City at Maiden Castle. It's a midday kick-off there. Meanwhile, Sunderland travel to Sheffield United this afternoon. Kick-off is at 2 o'clock. Let's remind you some of yesterday's non-league results then. In the National League, Gateshead lost 2-1 away to Woking. Yes, so Gateshead already safe, though, securing their place in the league.
Because there's quite a few seasons when they were in the Premier League and we weren't, so it's not played them for a while.
1-0. They now must win at their last game of the season against Hereford and need Kidderminster to not win. So lots to play for next weekend for them. In the Northern Premier League Premier Division, South Shields lost 3-0 away to Stafford Rangers, but that was not the big news. South Shields yesterday confirmed that Kevin Phillips left the club by mutual consent. They said it's been decided it is in the best interests of both parties to separate ways as the club continues on the road to be a more sustainable model. To have a more
Why is that league table missing Wigan out?
Also,
any ideas? Or is it just a website off?
Went on to say this has been a very difficult decision to come to, in particularly given the successful season that we have just enjoyed. Phillips also said in this statement, he says, I feel that it's the right time for me to depart for a number of reasons. I was brought here to do a job. I did it, and although I'd have loved to have taken it further, circumstances have changed, and I'll be supporting the club in the next phase of its journey from afar. So some big news there. We'll be reflecting on that news on Total Sport during the week as well. Total Sport returns tomorrow from 6. Morpeth Town, though, in the same division yesterday, drew 3-3 against Warrington Rylands at home. Morpeth secured their place in the division midweek. But pretty dramatic end to this game. Morpeth were 3-0 down at one point, but scored a 95th minute equaliser, and it was scored by goalkeeper Dan Lawson. The Morpeth manager Craig Lynch spoke to BBC Radio Newcastle's Paul Dixon after the match.
If anyone deserved to score in the 95th minute, was Lawson.
I've been in the last week, like my bloody throat.
Anybody, outfield or goalkeeper.
Getting better slowly now, like, but I've been off work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
He's got a tough job, and to be honest, he's been playing 70%. He's been carrying an injury, and he didn't want to miss. And if Dan Lawson doesn't want to miss a game, he doesn't miss a game. And he's been fantastic, and I'm absolutely delighted for him.
I've been ill the last 4 days, 5 days, just with a really heavy fever and a bad cough throat.
Fitting into the season, coming back from 3-0 down, and everybody's delighted. The fans.
Have you had one of them,
makes a big difference,
like tickly cough things that just keep you awake all night?
That is the Morpeth Town manager Craig Lynch last speaking after goalkeeper Dan Lawson scored a 95th minute equaliser for them yesterday. Down a division then in the East Division, it was the final day of the season as well. Dunstan missed out on a playoff place, losing 2-0 away to Carlton. Concert secured their place in the division, winning 4-2 at home to Lincoln United. Hebburn Town, they secured a playoff place with a 3-1 win over Cleethorpes. They will now play Long Eaton United on Tuesday evening. And North Shields, who didn't really have much else to play for, they're 7th in the table. They lost at home to Worksop Town, who won the division. In the Scottish Lowland League, Berwick Rangers had a goalless draw against the Spartans. That was their final game of the season. They finished 7th in the table.
Morning.
A couple of big games in the Northern League as well. In Division 1, Ashington secured 2nd place in a playoff place, drawing 1-1 away to Bishop Auckland, who were in 3rd. And in Division 2, Horden missed out on a player on
yeah, Gary Bennett was just saying like they need to stop this bloody early kick-off bollocks on a Sunday. Like,
Horden
ridiculous.
Secured them a playoff place there. Let's have a look at the snooker then. And Gary Wilson, Wallsend's Gary Wilson, was in action last night. Began his second round match against Mark Selby.
Yeah, that was mad.
Late last
that
night.
Preston equaliser within like the 94th minute, like the last kick of the game.
Wilson 5 frames to 3. They'll get back underway at 2 o'clock today, so we'll update on throughout the day.
I didn't watch the game. I was watching the Wrexham match.
Few basketball lines in today in the BBL Championship. Newcastle Eagles are away to Plymouth City Patriots.
Good, wasn't it?
In the WBBL Championship yesterday, the Newcastle Eagles beat the Cardiff Met Archers 74 points to 67.
Oh, weren't they just when he cut in from the left and just like
88 points to 78.
Bang.
And today the Newcastle Eagles are at home to the Sevenoaks Suns. That's a 5 o'clock tick-up. 5 p.m.
Did not look like a conference game, did it?
Hornets are away to the London Lions. That is a 5:30 tip-off there. That's all from me in the BBC Radio Newcastle studio. It's time for us to head back to the Hawthorns then to continue build-up to West Brom versus Sunderland in the company of Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett.
As we head into the last few games of the season, how are your nerves? Shocking. You could be at St James's Park as Newcastle United vie for a European place. Brilliant, just brilliant. Or at the Stadium of Light as Sunderland look to secure a place in the playoffs.
The massive roar.
Good morning! So, ahead of every home league game, join me, Matt Bailey, for a chance to win tickets to see the Magpies and the Black Cats play at home.
Yes, I can't believe it. I can't believe I've won.
It's great to see smiling faces and happy people.
The sound of the North East at breakfast.
Cheers, Matt. Love the show.
BBC Radio Newcastle, making a difference in the North East.
What a brother.
Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett, MBE.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
The boiler's been out on the pitch, has disappeared again. I don't know where he's gone, she, he. I'm not sure what sex the boiler is, to be honest.
I bet you've used that a few times.
Well, not yet, no. I'm going to rein it in. The Sunderland fans are filtering into the stand away to our right. Half of that stand will be red and white, as I think around 2,500 was the allocation for this afternoon's game. The Preston on the last day of the season is going to be around 8,000 Sunderland fans at Deepdale.
8,000 Sunderland fans expected to go to Preston.
Moment, if they've got a chance of sealing a place in the playoffs, mark my words, they'll be double that.
Well, they won't get in.
They'll find a way, Nicholas. They will find a way.
As well. It'll be interesting, very interesting final day. It could be, potentially. A lot will depend on what happens today, in all honesty, isn't it? I think, if they don't win today, I mean, part of you thinks, well, if they don't win today, then it's probably all over. But we said that a few weeks ago, and they're still in it. So, who knows? There could be one or more twists and turns come this week, because there are those couple of games in hand for Blackburn and West Bromwich Albion, and there's a couple of teams that seem to have hit the buffers, like Millwall and Norwich, and West Bromwich Albion play Norwich next weekend, so that could be potentially very interesting as well. And Sunderland, of course, are home to Watford next weekend. We'll hear from Tony Mowbray before kick-off, but one player who's certainly been impressive this season, and as Tony Mowbray said, still got a lot to learn. But I had a conversation with someone here earlier this morning about this particular player and how impressed they were when they first saw him at Lincoln last season, and just felt that they were watching a player that reminded them of when Michael Carrick broke onto the scene. And that player is Dan Neil. and I caught up with Dan Neil on Tuesday night after the 1-1 draw with Huddersfield Town. Dan, congratulations on 100 appearances, and being told it's 13 years ago to the day that you played on the pitch here at half-time. That must seem like a long, long time ago.
Yeah, I think my dad got a bit carried away this morning. He was dead proud, and he got the news out before Sunderland did. But yeah, it's a very proud day for me and my family. You know, I've always wanted to play for this club, and to say that I've played 100 and hopefully counting is a massive achievement for us. And yeah, I'm very proud, and so are my family.
Tonight, though, frustrating, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. I think we lacked a bit of cutting edge. We had a few decent chances, but I don't think it was enough to win the game. Give credit to Huddersfield. I thought they were very good on the break. Lots of athleticism in the team, and they caused a few problems, especially on counter.
What's the matter with you, Darth? I've had like a really bad cold and a horrid cough for about a week and a bit.
But obviously the negative is that we couldn't quite get over the line and get them 3 points.
Was the frustration compounded by getting the yellow card quite early as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's especially I was playing, you know, with Pritch.
I know.
Pat ahead of us. I was that one that has to break the play up and put in tackles and win duels, and that early yellow card did kill us a little bit. I felt like I couldn't put myself.
Long as it's not your breakfast.
Go down to 10 men and obviously leave the team kind of hanging. So yeah, I think defensively it did cause me individually, and probably the team, because that's my role to stop counter-attacks and things like that, so it probably did cause a few problems, yeah.
But when you look at the greater picture, I mean, I think there's a feeling, there's sort of a slight air of despondency tonight, because everyone feels that perhaps the playoff has slipped away again, but you've hung in there the last few weeks. It's almost, I've used that phrase, like you're sleepwalking into the playoffs. It never seemed to quite elude you, and you've still got an opportunity, a couple of opportunities, and it's mathematically possible to still be in them.
Yeah, definitely. I think probably a few weeks ago when we had that little bit of a tough spell, everyone thought that the playoffs were out of our hands, and we managed to claw ourselves back into contention. And obviously tonight was a disappointing result, but it's another point on the board. We've still got to play everyone around where that's actually trying to get in the playoffs, so if we can take points from them, obviously
that was mad on Friday. And
you know, it's not over until the final whistle at the end of the season, and we're going to give it our all to get as close to the playoffs or in them, and then see where that takes us from there.
There's a statistic flying around that it's 19 points dropped from winning positions at home. The flip side of that is, I suspect, if you looked at your away record, it's going to be a lot. You know, there's that many wins recently. The Cardiff win, the Norwich win. So going to West Bromwich Albion is probably not a bad thing, is it?
Yeah, for some reason we're away from home has been really good this year. I'm not sure what I can put that down to. Maybe teams are opening up more when they're playing at home and we're away. I definitely feel when we're at home, teams sit in a lot more and try to hit one on the break, and maybe that's one of the reasons why our home form hasn't been as good this year, and we haven't quite found the fix for that. But yeah, 2 away games, 1 big game at home against Watford. So I mean, I'll always fancy us against. And yeah, we just need to go to West Brom. Well, starting with West Brom on Sunday, and give it our all, and hopefully take 3 points.
It's just bodies now, isn't it? It's getting bodies out there that are fit enough to play.
Yeah, I mean, we've said this quite a lot this year, but injuries have been quite a big factor in our season, and I think if you take that into consideration and put it into context, I think it's been a brilliant season for the team and the club. But it would be nice to really push on and give the fans something to get excited about on the last day of the season. So at the end of the day, the bodies that we've got is who we've got, and we need to make do with what we've got and go wherever we're going and give it our all and try to get 3 points out of these last 3 games.
Total Sport.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
We talked about Tony Mowbray's man management earlier, and this week he's been talking about Dan Neil. And he said, Benno, that he didn't want to eulogise Dan Neil because, you know, he said he's still got so much to learn. But that said, he has also progressed incredibly this season. First seed in the Championship at this level, and having to take on the burden of being the Corey Evans figure. Potentially, yeah, he's got a fantastic future.
He's got a fantastic future, and I think maybe that Corey Evans injury he's been the best for Dan Neil, because all of a sudden he's had to become the focal point, the main man in shall we say, in the middle of the park, and that's done him the world of good, because if Corey Evans was fit, would he have played as many games?
Probably not. I mean, with the way that Tony Mowbray's been sort of resting players and rotating players.
About ifs and buts, about if we had the players available, we could have been pushing for maybe automatic promotion, but surely would have been in the playoff positions. We were talking about players inexperienced. Now we're not talking about inexperience. Yes, we bring it up now and then, but all of a sudden we're talking about these players have grown of age, they've come of age now. And then you're thinking, what you're looking at now is that, wow, if we keep these players together, and what we've just spoke about at the start of the programme in regards of recruitment, bringing 1 or 2 players in, then all of a sudden it changes the whole outlook of what you'll be looking for next season, because next season people, supporters, everybody else will be saying, well, I don't expect
that is some answer that I don't have 10 out of 10.
In the bottom half of it, you expect Sunderland to be challenging for a playoff position, so that's how far we've come.
Right, we're going to hear from Tony Mowbray in a moment, but first, a reminder of the frequency. Do you want to give us a reminder of the frequencies?
No, I'll leave that to you.
You don't want to do that?
No.
Sure?
I'll just tell them about the alert at 3 o'clock.
But you've turned it off. Just a reminder. Forgive me if you've taken it all in, but there'll be people who need to be reminded that the Newcastle match kicking off at 2 o'clock. The build-up to that match with Razor and Ando on BBC Radio Newcastle starts at 1 o'clock on FM. So if you want to listen to the second half of West Bromwich Albion against Sunderland on BBC Radio Newcastle, you need to be on DAB or Freeview 719.
Can you say that again?
I'll say it again, because I want you to make sure that you've taken it in. The build-up to Newcastle's game at 2 o'clock begins at 1 o'clock with Razor and Ando on FM on BBC.
I'm still half asleep. I already slept last night with this bloody tickly cough, like windpipe was just full of feathers last night. So excuse me if I'm a little bit quiet today.
Preview 719. The Sunderland team just jogging off back down to the dressing room. They'll be in red and white this afternoon. It's Patterson in goal, Hume, O'Nien and Sirkin, Gooch and Clark, Neil, Ekwa, Ahmad, Gelhardt and Barr. And on the bench it's Bass, Roberts, Pritchard, Anderson, Taylor, Liadji and Mishu. So let's now hear from the Sunderland head coach, Tony Mowbray.
Tony, I don't know if you're still registered as a player. May well be.
I don't think so.
Have we got to that stage yet?
I know.
But do you sit now and look at this season, and I don't know if you've ever had a season like it in terms of the number of key players that you've lost?
Yeah, listen, it's I don't know whether I have. I know you get injuries every season, and I know I've had teams that have been top of the table going into the new year and have fallen away. Generally, in my mind, afterwards, you could argue that last season with Brereton Diaz, 12 games to go, we were second in the league. And,
I hope we win, but my head's telling me that West Brom will have far too much for us without injuries. I'll say 3-0 West Brom.
Struggle to turn draws into wins, so it's a pretty common occurrence, and every team has to deal with it. I'll have to say West Brom have lost some pretty key players as well when I look at their team of recent weeks. Obviously, looks like the big centre forward who scored the winner in the Stadium of Light against us has got the same injury that Ross Stewart's got. So every team's dealing with injuries, but some teams are a little bit more capable of coping with their injuries.
I reckon there'll be a sending off today, but I don't know which side.
That are affected, but yeah, we've from being a crisis at the top end of the pitch to almost a crisis at the back end of the pitch now, and
again, I had this earlier in the season, didn't we? This
yeah,
flips.
Yeah. So we'll deal with it. The result will tell you whether we deal with it at the weekend. But you know, we've generally done all right trying to find a way, and the players generally, in the adversity of some bad luck or you know, some injuries that have really upset the balance of the team, we've managed to find a way. So, you know,
they went through a good patch for them as well. Like, they were winning a lot of games, weren't they?
And play with lots of energy, lots of drive, lots of composure, and try and find a way of getting a victory if we can.
I mean, you have got a permutation, or a couple of permutations of players you can play across the back three or four. But had you thought, because you mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, that if you were close to the playoffs, you might bring Dan Ballard back a couple of weeks earlier? I mean, is that conceivable now with Danny's injury?
Not for this game. It's not. No, I've spoken to him today. That's not going to happen by this weekend. He might have a few days of training before the next game. We'll have to wait and see, but that'll depend on his progress, because it is a daily assessment really for him. But at this moment, he's not training with the group. He's no plans of training tomorrow with the group, so he won't be involved. You know, the other situation we sit here with, of course, is Luke O'Nien and his wife, and still no birth. So we've got to hope that doesn't create an extra problem for us. You know, we're trying to put some contingency stuff in the way. The 21s are playing a massive, the 18s actually playing a massive game at Manchester City, and we're going to bring a couple of them after they've played against Man City to try and win a league. They'll come over to the hotel and be in the squad for the next day, just in case.
Fantastic incentive for them, isn't it? But I mean, that aside, another thing you said a few weeks ago was about the injuries and looking at why they're happening. And I noticed that Paul Simpson at Carlisle said something similar last week. And I guess if you said, West Brom have got injuries, are there more injuries now than 10 years ago? Is it just because of now the players are they're so finely tuned that these injuries perhaps crop up more?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think anybody can deny that, and I haven't asked the medical department to show me the data over the last 10 years or something, but I'm sure we've got it. But I do think that's the case. We've talked about, well back in the 70s and 80s, teams would have whole seasons playing with 14 players really, and for a vast majority of them you pick the same 11 every single week, 1 to 11. That's before we decided to have squad numbers and stuff, because every team had 1 to 11, and it was all very unusual if a different number was playing. So yeah, I think it's the speed of the game. I think it's the everything's faster, everything's more prepared, everything's more intense, and yet there's a lot less contact in football than there ever was. When you could properly tackle people really from behind and slide into people and whack people, there's no contact almost now. It is still a contact sport, but there's minimal contact, I would suggest. But I think it's just the speed of the game and the quality of the pitches, the lightness of the balls, and the coaching, the intensity of the coaching now to play quicker and to play in the pockets and the spaces and move the ball fast. So the game's speeded up, and maybe the high speed is causing greater injuries.
I know you've been back to West Brom a couple of times this season for various events, and you've said in the past about going back to your former clubs like Borough and wherever. It's a game of football. You've got to sort of compartmentalise that, but you are obviously still highly regarded at West Brom. Is it a little bit different going back to the Hawthorns this weekend and with everything at stake? I mean, it's going to be a great atmosphere.
Well, I know that they're going to be highly motivated. As I said, I just saw on the TV there that their fans have pushed back some demonstrations to support the team because they realise that they've got a chance, and I think they're a very, very high quality team, high quality players. They've got a coach who took Huddersfield Town to the playoffs last year, so he's obviously very tuned in, knows what he wants, and I've had a strange sort of season since he came in. Took off like a house on fire from a really difficult position and hit a sticky spell where they went quite a few games without winning, but they seem to be back on winning ways, and because they can smell it now, they can see that table, and when a big club gets that feeling and the fans get behind it, it's quite dangerous for the opposition. And yet, we've been to some pretty big places recently, and when I say big, there's no clubs bigger than Sunderland in this league.
They've got that many good players, though.
Parachute payments, etc., and the quality of their playing staff. But we went to Burnley and gave a good account of ourselves.
There's a guy on their right wing in one of their centre forwards.
Really good result against the team.
Even their goalkeeper's quite good at coming up.
We've done all right away from home over recent weeks and months, and we shouldn't fear going to the Hawthorns. We should go there and bring our best game. And if we bring our best game, we'll give them more than a good game.
Shades of when you were there and Sunderland were
Swift, yeah.
Promotion, you were going for promotion, and it was that sort of top towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I think that's when Roy fell out with me, didn't he, a little bit? But listen, two huge football clubs. I know I say it constantly that we are on a pathway. We're on a growth mindset, trying to get back to a mentality of expectation to get out of this division and have a Premier League mentality. We are still growing that. I think West Brom have been, a couple of years out of the Premier League now. It's they'll be desperate to do well and get back there. So it feels like a big game, and it should be a big game. And I'm sure we'll take a lot of supporters, and I'm sure that we will find a way, whatever our problems in the treatment room are, we'll find a way to be very competitive on the day. And as of recent weeks, hopefully come out with a positive result.
Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett, MBE.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Just waiting for the teams to emerge then here at the Hawthorns. The Sunderland fans having a great deal of fun with beach balls at the moment. They're bouncing around at the away end, away to our right, in the right-hand section of the end to our right-hand side. I can see a number of footballs blown up, being thrown around, and a great deal of fun being had by all, by the looks of things.
It is indeed, and I've seen one or two people in outfits. St George's Day today.
Indeed it is. April the 23rd, St George's Day. We're waiting for the teams. They're going to be playing the Liquidator.
That is a good tune.
Indeed, a couple of people to say hello to. David Bray, who's in Sunderland General at the moment. Hopefully you're recovering, David, and all is well, and that this afternoon makes you feel a little bit better. And Peter Trevorrow, I think that's how you pronounce his surname. Peter Trevorrow in heaven. He's a big fan of.
Who's Blackburn's game in hand against? Is it Burnley?
So good afternoon to both of you.
No, who's Blackburn's game in hand against?
Do you want me to remind you about the frequencies?
Please.
The second half of the game this afternoon will be on DAB and Preview.
So is it true if we win our last three games we're in the playoffs, or does it still depend on other results?
Two teams out here. Sunderland in their red tracksuit tops at the moment, but they're red and white stripes. And West Bromwich Albion, of course, in their blue and white stripes. I say stripes, it's really one big, broad, dark blue stripe and a couple of thinner ones on either side of the chest. As they line up here on the pitch in front of this main stand, and Sunderland now discarding their red tracksuit tops.
So is your gut feeling, do you think we'll do it today? We're down the pit of your stomach, you think we can do it today?
So the team's just being announced ahead of kick-off here in a moment or two's time. We're about to move into the afternoon, midday kick-off, and naturally for a game that's on television, appears to be a sellout.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this Liquidators too, which is that they're going to blast out. But again, we talk about this every week. Set pieces is going to be very, very crucial today and vital that we do pick up, because especially when they've got the likes of Ajayi, he's a big lad. Peters, who's in the heart of their defence, they will, you know, from set pieces, they will cause us 1 or 2 problems without Danny Barr.
Set pieces are the real threat from West Bromwich Albion. The Boilers pulsing about on the pitch, and someone else has just remarked on the Boiler mascot. It's slightly unused. He's wandering about the Boiler with the throttle on the pitch now down towards the corner here.
The Boiler's leaving.
So it's certainly causing some debate.
Here we go.
Here we go. That's been going on. West Bromwich Albion have just kicked off. Sunderland are defending the goal to our right, the end in which the Sunderland fans are housed. From West Brom, and the ball at the back at the moment. Ajayi playing it out wide to Furlong, who is into the Sunderland half on the right-hand side. Played back to Peters, inside to Ajayi.
And just looking at the way they set up, Nick, and it seems to sort of set up in a back four. Gooch up right back, Sirkin's like left
back, yeah, with Hume and O'Nien, the two centre-backs. Sirkin having to track back here because Wallace down the right-hand side. A chance at the edge of the 6-yard box, a block by Hume. And he gets the ball away up to the halfway line. And it's turned back by Eric Peters to the goalkeeper, Alex Palmer, who's in bright yellow away to our left this afternoon. You're right, it looks like a back four, doesn't it?
Yeah, and remember, when we played at Stadium of Light, the lad who caused us a lot of problems, the lad Wallace here on the right-hand side, Jed Wallace.
Yeah.
The amount of times he received the ball, he was given time and space to put the ball in and cause us numerous... And again, you've just seen there in the early doors, the ball was
set up by Wallace.
Yeah.
As the ball's played away down the left-hand wing now, and trying to push the ball down the left of the Sunderland penalty. It's stabbed away from the penalty spot by Luke O'Nien, and then runs out on the far side for a throw. Carlin Grant was trying to get on the end of it for West Bromwich Albion, but it's run out for a throw to Sunderland, which Lyndon Gooch will take. And he has Neil, or he can go back to Hume. That's what he does. Closed down, but he's got the ball out to Dan Neil, and eventually out it goes for a throw to West Bromwich Albion. John Busby, all in black, is the referee. He was last in charge of Sunderland at home to Wickham in August of 2021 when Sunderland won 3-1. 0-0 then in his opening couple of minutes of the game. We're in the 3rd minute, and Grant is it who's looking to cross back of the penalty area now. Barr wins the ball. Down went Malumbi, was it?
Yeah.
Jason Malumbi went down in the challenge from Barr, but no penalty.
I just hope Sunderland don't try to walk the ball into the net like they usually do. If you see you look on goal, have a shot.
To take this, just rolls it to his right to try Hume, and out to Gooch, back to Hume, and Hume then spins it down over the head of Ahmad, and it's headed on here, poked away by Luke O'Nien in midfield. Ahmad trying to get on the end of it. Neil does, gets it back to Luke O'Nien, and out here on the left to Jack Clark. Clark in front of Tony Mowbray, up to the halfway line. He plays it back to Luke O'Nien, and O'Nien into the centre circle to Neil, and then forwards again from O'Nien to Gelhart in the centre circle, back to O'Nien. He tried to play it down the left wing for Clark, but it runs away from him behind Furlong, Darnell Furlong, and out for a throw to West Bromwich Albion on their right. 4th minute then, 0-0. Pretty much full Hawthorns. on this Sunday lunchtime on St George's Day. As the ball put out for a throw to Sunderland on the left here in front of Carlos Corberan. Clark sort of lazily takes it back to Sirkin and back to Anthony Patterson. As the Sunderland fans, you can hear everywhere they go, they certainly make a noise to try and compete with the West Bromwich Albion drum. Away to our right, here's Patterson with the ball at his feet, all in green. Patterson just holding it for the moment, then passing it to Luke O'Nien in the penalty area. Out to Sirkin, drives it down onto the head of Furlong, cut out by Barr in the left of midfield inside the Sunderland half. And then Yukuzlu wins it, gets it to Grant in the penalty area here. He gets to the goal line, but it rolls away from him behind for a goal kick.
Great defending there by Lyndon Gooch. Excellent.
BBC Radio Newcastle in the 5th minute. West Bromwich Albion 0, Sunderland 0. A reminder, the second half of this game will be on DAB and Freeview 719. The build-up to Newcastle's 2 o'clock kickoff from 1 o'clock on FM on BBC Radio Newcastle with Razor and Ando. Here's Ahmad, wide on the right, in his own half. Back behind him, Gooch. Ball given away though. One back here. Grant trying to get it into the penalty area, and a drive from outside the box. It's eventually tidied up by Hume after a block. Back to Patterson, and Patterson drives this down the left and up to the halfway line, where it's won by Ajayi, and it's across to Townsend on the far side, Connor Townsend, back inside to Eric Peters, the Dutch international, and again to Ajayi, who's a Nigerian international. Through now on the right to Swift, and John Swift just behind him to Malumbi, out to Furlong, back to Malumbi, and then Ajayi, Peters, and he tries to get it away down the left wing, cut out by Gooch though. Ahmad on the end of this, immediately closed down, but he spins around on the ball, plays it just behind him to Gooch, and Gooch back to Hume. Lyndon Gooch wearing the captain's armband this afternoon in the absence of Danny Bart now, of course, and of course Corey Evans and Bailey Wright. Clark back to Hume, coming up to the halfway line at Ahmad. Is still in the Sunderland half. Here to
what do you think about Kevin Phillips leaving South Shields?
Left of the centre circle, slips it through to Ekwa, holds off Yukuzlu, but he's got the ball off him, leaves it for Ajayi and Peters, and back to the goalkeeper Alex Palmer. 12 years he's been at West Bromwich Albion. Played out now in midfield to Malumbi and out wide to Furlong. Over the halfway line, looking for Thomas Asante, who's held off Hume, but the referee's blown. I think he felt there was a slight tug by Thomas Asante, the 24-year-old who was signed from Salford City in the summer.
He's a big lad, isn't he?
He is big.
Well-built lad.
Stocky, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's not got a
So it could maybe do with going with a club like Hartlepool or something. So it looks like they're going to get relegated into the into the non-league, into the conference. So I think that'll be a good move for Phillips to go to Hartlepool, see if he can get another North East club back up.
12 for 3 goals, I think, for Salford, and he's been amongst the goals for West Bromwich Albion. 7 of them in the Championship, and 2 of them in the FA Cup. Out here to Sirkin, and it's played on by Ekwa behind Sirkin. He's come out for a Sirkin behind for a throw.
Just a mention on Ekwa.
Shoot that front door, boys, because I'm freezing my baguettes off, please. Thank you.
Here's Furlong trying to cut inside. He's fouled Ekwa and Clark between them. Clark sitting at the moment, just shaking his left foot. Gets himself up.
Do you think Phillips will ever end up at Sunderland as some sort of role in the back and stuff?
The likes of Roberts is on the bench, you got Pritchard on the bench, you got Michu on the bench who can play in there as well.
No.
So it's important.
Yeah, didn't have to put any of the youngsters on the bench, even though they've come down from Manchester yesterday after the under-18s game. So it's a strong bench.
And this is where we've got to make sure we pick up, especially from these set pieces here.
This from the right wing, halfway inside the Sunderland half. The defensive line on the 18-yard line. Swift drives it in, drops to Barr to clear in the back of the penalty area. He smashes it forwards, and away it goes.
We're defending well. It's all West Brom coming forward, but we're holding on our own.
Albion on the left-hand side. So out to Ajayi on the right of the penalty area.
And that's our exclusive report from Darth. Thank you.
And it's played down the right wing. Furlong. Inside to Malumbi. Looking to get it away on that far side to Townsend, who's made a run down into the corner. He's got Grant behind him, but it's not behind for a corner kick to West Bromwich Albion. First of the game. This comes in the 10th minute. So we talked about set pieces. This is an opportunity for West Brom.
We've got to make sure that we're strong, brave.
Right, well, it'll come up. If it's going to work, it'll come up.
From the left end, the ball curls in and is headed out by Dan Neil.
I'd rather be, I'd rather us just be discussing like, if we win today, we'll be in the playoffs, than we'll be in the bottom three if we lose.
The foul on Sirkin, and so it's a free kick to Sunderland, taken by Sirkin, back inside to O'Nien, then across to Hume, and Hume over to Gooch on the far side. Back it comes to Hume, out to Neil. He's immediately closed down and fouled by Yukuzlu.
It was a bad ball in by Trey Hume as well. He was asking a lot from Dan Neil, wasn't he? Especially when it goes in the air.
And he was clattered by the Turk. And now O'Nien to Barr, back to Ekwa, and then to Hume, and pushes it down the right wing.
No.
Sweeps past Gooch, and out for a throw to West Bromwich Albion on the far side. West Bromwich Albion 0, Sunderland 0. Now in the 12th minute of the game. Tony Mowbray, who was here for 3 seasons, lost to Derby in the 2007 playoff final, 1-0, but he won the title in 2008 and also reached the FA Cup semi-finals, only to lose to Portsmouth. And now his Barr gets shoved off the ball in midfield by Ajayi legally, and the ball comes here to Malumbi, and Jason Malumbi, the Irish international, brings it into the Sunderland half, out to Furlong, out on the right wing, back to Malumbi, and inside just a short pass to Yukuzlu, who slips, and it allows, well, it nearly allowed Gelhardt to get away with the ball, but Clark picks it up, and Clark now trips by Malumbi, and it's a free kick to Sunderland. Sun comes out here, and
what that for?
This free kick will be taken by Luke O'Nien. Played over to the right hand side to Hume, inside to Neil, then to Ekwa, back to O'Nien, the back of the centre circle. Neil to Ekwa, and out wide here to Sirkin. Inside to Ekwa again, trying to get it through to Barr. Blocked though, and out to Furlong on this right hand side, looking for the run of Thomas Asante, but Luke O'Nien's come across in front of him. Wallace tries to get the ball off O'Nien. He gets it back to Patterson, closed down by Swift, but drives it away. Townsend will head it from the halfway line down to the feet of Ahmad. And Ahmad now being chased by Grant, inside to Barr. Barr, this is an opportunity. It's Gelhardt at the edge of the D, rolls it to Clark on the left, but a little bit too wild to pass, and Clark has to work, and he pulls it back here now to Ahmad, inside to Barr in the penalty area, tries to drive one at the near post, but wins a corner.
Excellent play, good play by Ahmad. Barr all involved.
Clark's going to take the corner down here on the left-hand side.
It'd be great if we could score from the centre.
It would be good, wouldn't it? It'd be a bit ironic, wouldn't it, bearing in mind West Bromwich Albion's record this season. Clark then away to our left. Ahmad's just outside the box, as is Dan Neil. Gooch back in the middle of the West Bromwich Albion half. Clark then with his right. Side puts it in. It's come down here to Gooch.
The corner.
Oh, Gelhardt it was, and Gelhardt put it over with a deflection for another corner.
Good delivery by
yeah,
Clark.
Just sort of siphoned it over the top, and it dropped on Gelhardt's left foot volley and took a deflection. Ahmad's gone to take the corner on the right-hand side, below the thrush that sits on a ball above the big screen in that corner. The corner's been filled in here. As Ahmad crosses, it was a short corner played back to Neil, is cleared. Comes out to Gooch in midfield.
No, fair dues, do what you need to do.
Kuzlu gets a foot to it, comes down for Malumbi, who's lifting it over the top for Furlong to chase, or Grant to chase. Grant, and it's Gooch who gets in front of him, blocks it.
Well done.
It came off Grant. There's a throw to Sunderland on this left-hand side. The 15th minute, West Bromwich Albion 0, Sunderland 0. Live here on BBC Radio Newcastle. It's double bill this afternoon. 1 o'clock build-up on DAB, on FM. I'm getting myself confused now. On FM for Newcastle. We'll be on DAB and Freeview 719 for the second half here at the Hawthorns. It's 0-0. And it's a throw again, Sirkin back to O'Nien. And the defender passes it right over to the far side, eventually to Gooch. She's back on the right now. Inside to Ahmad. And Ahmad, short pass forwards to Barr, back to Ahmad. Back to O'Nien. O'Nien bringing this up to halfway. Gelhardt shoving the back from Ajayi. Back to Sirkin. O'Nien. Then to Hume to his right-hand side. And then Ahmad inside to Neil, back to Hume, still inside the Sunderland half as it's played around up to halfway. Gelhardt surrounded by West Bromwich Albion players, a touch from Clark, lovely ball out to Sirkin on the left-hand side, just outside the penalty area, and Sirkin brings it down, slips it back inside to Gelhardt. He manages to get it to Ekwa under pressure, out to Sirkin, back to Ekwa, inside to O'Nien in the middle. Then across to Gooch. Gooch down to Ahmad on the right-hand side. Ahmad taking on Townsend. He's going to play it through to the edge of the penalty area where it's blocked. Comes back out to Neil. Side ball into Barr and then to Ahmad. And Ahmad dribbling towards the corner of the penalty area. Out to Neil, back into Ahmad. Behind him is Gooch. Down to Neil again. And Neil trying to cut back inside, rolls it into the path of O'Nien in the middle. And then out to the left-hand side to Clark, and there's the aroma of burnt toast on the air as Clark plays it back to O'Nien, and then to Neil again, just ahead of him Ahmad. Plenty of possession, but West Bromwich Albion have got everybody back behind the ball. And out here on the left to Clark again. Clark to the corner of the penalty area, onto his right foot, left, tries to dink it in. It's cleared by Furlong. It will come out to Thomas Asante, who heads it down straight to Hume. Hume now passes it away to the right to Gooch, just inside the West Bromwich Albion half. Ahmad plays it back then into the Sunderland half. Hume on the right, back to Ahmad on the touchline on the halfway line, and inside to Neil, and then out over here to O'Nien, and out wide to Sirkin on the left-hand side. And Sirkin driving on now, slips it inside to Barr. Barr just outside the penalty area, plays it across, looking for Ahmad, but then over Ahmad's head. He applauds the pass, but it's a throw in the corner to West Bromwich Albion. 18 minutes nearly played, 0-0 here.
Good spell of possession there by Sunderland. It's calming the game down really.
Lots of touches, but it's a blue and white wall they're putting up in front of them, isn't it? Working hard, West Bromwich Albion, actually, to close down and get everybody behind the ball. The ball comes back through from Sirkin to Alex Palmer. He was at Luton on loan last season, 26-year-old. He's got back into the first team here in the last few games under Carlos Corberán. And the kick from the keeper up over the halfway line, down the left, headed on that far side by Townsend, who gets it back again on the touchline, and away the ball rolls into touch after a challenge for a throw to West Bromwich Albion. As I say, if Sunderland were to win here this afternoon, they'd go 6th on goal difference. But Blackburn and West Bromwich Albion will both have a game in hand this week. And West Bromwich Albion's game in hand as Yakuzlu pulls down Gelhardt is away at Sheffield United. Ekwa in the middle to Gelhardt, just behind the centre circle. Plays out to Clark. Nice pass. He's got to get past Furlong though. He's wrestled him down. Arms round his middle, pulled him down. Free kick to Sunderland, just inside the West Bromwich Albion half.
Only £89.
Referee calling for the ball to come back here. And Ian Smith, our rugby union commentator at the Falcons,
who he's in the bath.
Well, no, he's not in the bath actually, but probably a little bit too early for that. He commentated on his last home Falcons game on Friday night, and he's got one more to go, and he's thinking about that, walking the dogs in Saltwell Park. He stopped for a coffee, and Kath, his wife, has the headphones on, so he says, come on boys, a win for Kath.
A win for Kath.
And we'll do our best. We'll do our best. And congratulations on Smithy, his illustrious commentating career. It's a shame it has to come to an end, but all good things do.
Good things do come to an end.
I want my charger back, Scarebind.
I'm going to buy him a donut this week.
Are you?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, so they sell them. If they don't, then he's just have to go without. 0-0, and Yakuzlu has the ball on the halfway line, plays it back to Peters, comes up to the edge of the centre circle, plays it out wide here now. Malumbi down to Furlong, back to Jason Malumbi, who was signed from Brighton in the summer, and back to Palmer, who kicks up through the middle. Thomas Asante, it comes off him, but Neil slipped in the centre circle. Then Yakuzlu goes down, Gelhardt goes down, clutching his ankle. The advantage played by the referee John Busby. It's all broken loose here with a fourth official now, with Michael Proctor and Carlos Corberan all wagging their fingers at him, and Alex Palmer makes a save at the feet of Ahmad as he bursts into the West Bromwich Albion penalty area. Out it comes to Swift, back to Yakuzlu, across to Ajayi in the middle of the West Bromwich Albion half, up into the centre circle. Swift knocks it back to Malumbi, and now Ajayi lifting one over the top for a possible break here, but Patterson's read it and catches the ball in a short-sleeved green top, with Jed Wallace now having to jog back, and Neil in the middle of the Sunderland half for Sunderland. Out to Gooch on the right, back it comes now to Hume, 22nd minute, and out on the wing it's played back by Gooch to Ahmad, inside to Neil, and then to Ekwa, and Ekwa back to Neil and across to O'Nien, and O'Nien up to the halfway line, swiftly out to Sirkin on this left hand side, leaves it for Clark. Clark in his orange boots, bringing it back to the halfway line to Neil, and now Gelhardt just ahead of him, out wide to Gooch. Gooch has support from Ahmad. There's Ahmad, back to Gooch, inside to Dan Neil, and Neil ball to Luke O'Nien, out on the left then to Clark, the corner of the penalty area, slips it to Barr, trying to get past Furlong, has to play it back out to Clark now to the goal line, and just held off by Wallace, and it's a goal kick to West Bromwich Albion.
Yellow card.
Wallace was very strong. Now a yellow card, was that for Barr? Well, Malumbi's been spoken to with I think it was for Barr. It was the
no.
Was it the West Bromwich Albion player? Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't see the incident. I saw.
Yeah, it was a tackle.
Barr was on his shoulder. Have you got the replay there? Have you?
I think it's Malumbi.
I think it was Malumbi was the player, the West Brom player involved. So you think Malumbi got a yellow card there?
Yeah.
Yes, no,
always worth just making a note of these things, because they might pick up a second. First
You're going to have
card
to
of
pay for it.
afternoon. Comes in the 20.
And he was nice, but else.
0-0, BBC Radio Newcastle, Alex Palmer with a goal kick. Up over the halfway line, onto the head of Dan Neil, bounces over to the far side. Ahmad trying to get a toe on it, drops for Grant, back to Yokozlu, out again on the left wing as West Bromwich Albion work it inside now, looking for Carl and Grant, but cut out by O'Nien and stabbed on by Neil, back to Equa from Gelhardt. Now looking for the run of Barr, over the shoulder of Barr is Furlong, and he heads it back to the goalkeeper. Watched it all the way, Darnell Furlong. He's actually eligible for Montserrat, as well as England, the son of Paul Furlong. Playing at right back, the 27-year-old for West Bromwich Albion. Palmer with a ball at his feet at the edge of the penalty area, kicks it out to the right-hand side, looking for Wallace, over his head, over Sirkin's head. It'll be a throw to Sunderland on this near side. Their last three have seen them win at Blackpool 2-0, win at Stoke 2-1. They drew here with Queen's Park Rangers 2-2. Their last defeat was 3-1 at Rotherham, on the back of a couple of draws at Cardiff and here against Millwall. Out wide on the right-hand side, Gooch inside to Hume. Hume in his red and white stripes, trying to get it on down the wing. Has it gone out? It has. It's a throw to Sunderland. 26th minute now, 0-0. Not really any chances, is there?
No, not at all. Gonna say, well, Sunderland steady away, slowly but surely.
Still the problem.
They've drawn 7 games here this season, West Bromwich Albion. They've only lost 4. Here's Sirkin. Carlos Corberán's apoplectic, isn't he, on the touchline?
Calm down him.
Dear oh dear. As the ball comes back here to Patterson, he has to drive it away past Swift. It's not been fully cleared. In fact, Malumbi it was who got in front of him, and now it's onto the head of Yokozlu. Out the wing here, bounces out. It's a throw for Sunderland on the left.
Keep an eye on him, by the way, the manager.
He's leapt out onto the touchline again on the halfway line. He is spectacular. It's almost like he's thinks he's in the bull ring, I think. Out on the right, Patterson plays it to Hume, who drives it down the right wing, and it's hooked away by Peters. Just kept in, was it? No, Thomas Asante couldn't, and it's a throw to Sunderland on the right-hand side. Carlos Corberán, who was appointed in October when West Bromwich Albion were 23rd in the table after 16 games. They're now 7th on the cusp of the playoffs as the ball goes out again for another Sunderland throw on the far side from the 27th minute. Gooch to take the throw to Neil, back to Gooch, closed down by Thomas Asante, plays it back to Hume on the right, and Hume to O'Nien at the edge of the Sunderland penalty area, pushing it out into midfield. Ahmad, Equa's just behind him. Barr, just behind him is O'Nien, and O'Nien now trying to get it wide to Gooch, and it's come back to Neil to nod onto the halfway line, and Gooch digs it away out to Neil on the touchline, back inside on the halfway line to Gelhardt, who's tripped by Wallace. It's a free kick to Sunderland. Short from Equa to Gelhardt. Oh, he's got past one challenge, leaves it for Clark. Out wide left here now to Sirkin. Sirkin, closed down by Furlong, plays it back inside to Clark. He's got Equa behind him, and he plays it back to Hume at the edge of the centre circle. Forwards then down the right-hand side to Gooch. Gooch to the touchline to Ahmad. Gelhardt's just inside him, Gooch is just behind him. And Gooch now just flicks it on to Ahmad again. Ahmad comes back a few yards and then plays it inside to Neil. Under pressure from Yokozlu, gets it back to Hume on halfway. Short pass to Equa. Equa to Neil again, and then a short pass to Ahmad to his right. Ahmad coming back and playing it to O'Nien on halfway. Down the left again to Clark. Turning inside, trying to shake off Furlong, but it's broken here for Malumbi, who gets it out to Wallace on the right-hand side. Wallace being chased by Equa. Wallace looks to cross. Hume clears in the face of Thomas Asante, but it comes back out from Malumbi to Wallace, blocked by Equa, looking to get it to Barr, and Barr slips it inside to Gelhardt. Yukuzlu trips him, an advantage from the referee. Ahmad now, Yukuzlu's chasing Ahmad through the middle, and Ahmad's still going and tried to slide it through to Clark, cut out by Ajayi, comes back to Swift on the halfway line, and he just rolls it to his left now to Townsend. And Townsend bringing this down the left-hand side of the Sunderland half, slips it back inside, and then it's laid off into Yukuzlu, and Yukuzlu to Malumbi, and out to Furlong on the right here, just inside the Sunderland half. Back to Ajayi in the West Bromwich Albion half, and to his left is Eric Peters. And Peters pauses with it at his feet, looks up, and the Dutchman plays a short pass just in front of him, and it's played back to him by Carlin Grant, and then Peters plays it inside to Ajayi. And Ajayi, as we played nearly half an hour now, out wide here to Furlong, eventually looking for the run of Wallace down the right side of the penalty area. A foul by Wallace. An elbow in the back of Sirkin.
Yeah, my screen's not right.
Nick, I can hear the rumblings amongst the supporters there.
Nodding.
They're not very happy, the West Brom Albion supporters, but that's credit to Sunderland, because we've got hold of the ball, we've passed it well, we've moved it well.
Oh no question. I mean, they can hear they're not happy with the referee, they're not happy with the way the game's going. The referee's just had a word with Gooch, who is the captain today. Luke O'Nien's going to take the free kick. Back to Patterson from the left edge of the penalty area. Big kick from Patterson, big chase for Gooch, but Townsend will let it roll out for a throw to West Bromwich Albion. 0-0 in the 31st minutes. A reminder, the second half of this game on BBC Radio Newcastle, on DAB and Freeview 719. The build up to Newcastle's match at home to Tottenham on FM from 1 o'clock. Sirkin back into the centre circle to O'Nien, to Equa, back to O'Nien, across to Sirkin in front of Tony Mowbray, plays it back to Luke O'Nien. O'Nien to Hume, forwards to Neil. Neil back to Hume. Neil again, closed down by Yukuzlu. It's cut out the ball forwards and come back to Yukuzlu, looking for Asante, Thomas Asante, but cut out by Hume. Eventually up to Barr, tackled by Ajayi. Rolls back though the ball to O'Nien. They start again through the middle to Neil, and out wide to Ahmad on the far side. Ahmad taking this on, and a couple of step overs down that right hand side, still going, slips it inside to Gooch in the penalty area. He's trying to get it on his left, it took a deflection, and it's a corner as it goes over the top of the bar. He's trying to find the top left corner, wasn't he? But a corner it is, Sunderland's third corner. Clark going down to take this down away to our left. Bouncing the ball up and down as he arrives at the corner, places the ball. Plenty of bodies well spaced out in the penalty area. It's passed back out here to Ahmad, who crosses to the far post. Peters heads it away. Thomas Asante will chase this and get his left foot through it, and back up to the halfway line. Gooch on his chest, takes it down, plays it down the right to Hume, back here to O'Nien, just behind the centre circle, through to Equa on the penalty spot, to Barr just to his left, or Ahmad just to his left, and that back to Sirkin, and back again to O'Nien, and now to Neil on the penalty spot, back to O'Nien, Equa in the centre circle. Ahmad's busy, he's everywhere. Here he is again on the right, on the halfway line. Turns it back a few yards to Hume, inside to Equa. Equa again to his right to Hume. Hume now trying to shake off Swift. Ahmad on the touchline, back to Equa, and Equa through the middle to Gelhardt. So he's tried to get it to Sirkin, but he's fouled.
He's got to get a grip, referee.
Peters is the culprit this time. It's a free kick right at the front of the centre circle.
That's 2 or 3 challenges on Gelda. He's done well receiving the ball. His retention of the ball has been good.
I think Yukuzlu must be close to a yellow card, the number of fouls he's committed. Here's Clark on the left, slips it into Barr. Defended though by Ajayi, out to Wallace. And he clips it up into the middle and looking for Swift, who stabbed it back to Yukuzlu, who's now looking for Grant over on the far side, but it's bounced away from him for a throw to Sunderland, which is taken quickly by Hume in the 34th minute. 0-0 here at the Hawthorns. Back to O'Nien, closed down by John Swift. He's still pursuing this, nearly gets it, but played out by Patterson through the legs of Wallace. And eventually it's Yukuzlu who picks up the loose ball. Peters takes it from him on halfway on the right and plays it back behind the centre circle to Ajayi, who plays it out wide here to Furlong in front of Tony Mowbray. Down the line to Wallace, a little flick inside, but Neil gets his foot to it first. And concedes a throw to West Bromwich Albion. Just over 10 minutes till half-time, 0-0. Furlong with a throw to Malumbi, back to Furlong, trying to find Swift, cut out by Ekwa. Furlong gets a foot to it again, Ekwa in front of Swift, and Swift went down, no foul, and it's out to Sirkin. He drives it up to the halfway line. Ajayi's all over Barr, throws him down, no foul, says the referee. He's strong, isn't he, Ajayi?
He's a big lad, powerful.
He's using his body weight a lot. And the ball comes back to Palmer, drives over the head of Barr, down the left, headed on now here to Grant on the left side of the penalty area, back to Townsend behind him. And Townsend then down the line to Grant, rolls almost to the corner, he crosses and Patterson catches it above Thomas Asante. And just charges out to the back of his penalty area. Then backtracks a couple of yards and rolls the ball out to the right to Hume. Hume back to Patterson. Patterson has got 2 West Bromwich Albion defenders forcing him to play it. Forcing him to play it long. Up into the path of Townsend, out to Grant on the left-hand side here. Grant taking this on, Neil coming back in front of him. Grant still going onto his right foot. And it fizzes across the face of goal and out for a goal kick.
Yeah.
0-0 still, 37th minute. Sirkin goes to retrieve the ball. Rolls it back to Patterson. Again, they keep, 3 up here. Swift, Thomas Asante and Wallace at the edge of the penalty area. Sirkin and Hume either side of the 6-yard box. Barr's jogging back. The kick through the middle up to Gelhardt on the halfway line. He's took it well. Another foul by Yukuzlu. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, it's going to be a yellow now for Yukuzlu.
How many times?
I think he was on a knife edge in terms of keep him fouling. He was bound to get yellow card eventually.
Great distribution by Patterson there. Great, and again I talked about his retention of the ball. Gelda, he's been excellent.
He was just taken off his feet by the Turkish international. A free kick will be taken in the centre circle by O'Nien to Neil, back to O'Nien and square to Sirkin, down here to Clark, inside to Ekwa. Ekwa now, it's opened up a little bit for him. He's taking this on, now he finds Barr, he goes down easily on the shoulder of Ajayi. Never going to win a penalty for that. And it's back with Alex Palmer, the West Bromwich Albion goalkeeper. Urging everybody, waiting for everybody to get upfield. We're in the 38th minute. Tony Mowbray pretty placid compared to Carlos Corberan in this first half. Ball in the air, headed on by O'Nien from the back of the centre circle. Gelhardt again, laying it off to Clark on this left-hand side. Inside to Gelhardt, back out to Clark on the left. Down into the penalty area on his right. Palmer punched away by the outstretched left hand of Palmer. It's a corner to Sunderland. Great attempt from Clark to try and curl that in. First save of the game, really.
Great play, great 1-2, great effort. And that's what we'd want to see more of from Clark when he cuts in onto his right. Can he pull that trigger?
So a corner from the right-hand side. It's going to be taken by Ahmad. Ekwa's just behind the D out in midfield. They have a little line over the penalty spot. It's come in here, headed it eventually, I think, away by Sirkin. It's come out to Clark on the left. He's trying to get past Furlong. He plays it back in the middle to Gooch, and Gooch now just to his right to Neil, and down the right wing to Ahmad. Tackled, comes back out to Neil. Neil trying to drive it in, blocked. Comes back down to him, he flicks it over the top. It's in the air from Peters. It was a mistake, but it's come back to the goalkeeper.
Trying to claim a back pass. It was a missed kick.
It was a total missed kick. Could have gone anywhere, but it went back to Alex Palmer. In the 40th minute, 0-0. The first save by either keeper, and that was forced by Jack Clark's shot. And it's played out to Ekwa by sloppy play, and then what a goal that would have been from Ahmad from 25 yards or more, looking for the top corner, just wide. And you know he can do that. He can just produce something like that. 0-0. In the 41st minute now of the first half. Palmer with a goal kick, all the players towards the far side around the halfway line. And here's the kick, driven up through the middle, slightly to the left, headed on by Yakuzlu, away by Gooch, in the air again, and Swift got above Ekwa. It comes back to halfway. Gelhardt goes on now. Ajayi pretending he's hit in the face. He got nowhere near him, Gelhardt, as far as I could see. Ajayi played Gelhardt there, and the referee. And the referee's given the free kick now. Now, to my mind, Ajayi went up, didn't win the ball, so then made out that he'd been caught by Gelhardt, and I don't think he was.
No, he gets a little bit of his own medicine, and what does he do?
Yeah,
he collapses.
Referee's talking to Gelhardt, but I think,
come on,
I think he should be having a word with Semi Ajayi, to be honest.
Big lad like that.
I know.
Come on.
Yakuzlu's going to take the free kick. Taps it to his right to Ajayi. Ajayi closed down by Barr, back to Yakuzlu. Gelhardt on his case, but he plays it away over to the left-hand side now. And played by Grant, back to Ajayi. Ajayi in the centre circle, sweeping it out towards Townsend on the left touchline, halfway inside the Sunderland half. Looking for Swift at the corner of the penalty area, but Neil brings it calmly down and gets it out to Barr in the middle. And over on the right-hand side to Gooch, chased by Grant, checks, now he's got to play it inside to Ekwa. Ekwa up to the halfway line, back to O'Nien in the 43rd minute now, to Sirkin on the left-hand side, out wide, then to Clark on the halfway line, back into his own half, and back to Hume. Hume being closed down by John Swift, gets it through to Neil. Closed down by Yakuzlu, back to Anthony Patterson in his D, pushes it out into midfield, and then passes it out to Sirkin, on to Clark. Didn't quite control it. Furlong gets it through to Thomas Asante. He's lost it though to O'Nien. Ekwa through to Gelhardt, just on the halfway line on the left here. Flicks it out to Sirkin in front of Carlos Corberan, and then back it comes to Clark, and he smashed one against Ekwa. He's flattened him. It was from about a yard away. He was trying to smash a ball across to Ahmad on the far side, and Ekwa is in front of him, and he has smashed it at him, and he's gone down just to check out how he is. He's on his knees in every sense.
He's taken one there, hasn't he?
Oh, can you hear? You can feel that one. That was a blow. Totally unintentional. It's not absolutely just bad luck. Ekwa was in the way of the pass, but He's kneeling, he's up on his sort of
haunches
now, he's going to get to his feet. Jack's just come to check he's okay. He gets a pat on the back from Ekwa. Whew. Be a drop ball. Ekwa has to come off. The referee just ushering him off at the moment. The referee, John Busby, with the ball at the feet or in front of Jack Clark, Tony Mowbray, and John Hewitson, sort of giving it out, and the fourth official giving him a pat on the back. Ekwa, I think we all felt it. The ball dropped to Clark, back to Sirkin in 09. Ekwa's back on the pitch. Neil out to Sirkin on this left-hand side, and now Ekwa again back to Sirkin, being closed down by Wallace, who blocks it, gets it to Swift, and he goes down in the penalty area, clutching his ankle.
The both were talking there. The linesman and the referee were talking, and he's given a penalty away, hasn't he? He did catch him, the penalty, hasn't he? Yeah, Luke
on the ankle, just inside the penalty area.
I was looking at the linesman, the official and the referee.
The assistant's he's made the call, hasn't he?
Through his microphone.
£5 million
The assistant's made the call in the 45th minute. The referee, John Busby, wasn't sure what to make of the challenge on Swift, but he's deemed it now a penalty.
Yeah, and that's why they've gone to the official there. He's the one who's given the referee a shout, because I think the official was thinking that the referee was going to give it.
Well, there was a pause, there was a hesitancy from both, but it was the assistant, I think, who gave the penalty. The foul on Swift. Again, Swift's going to take the penalty.
We've got our own selves to blame there, haven't we? Because we've just played ourselves into trouble, didn't we? You know, Sirkin, shot gets blocked, it falls to a West Bromwich Albion player, and it was a, shall we say,
told you, lads.
Wild swipe by Luke O'Neill.
It was, yeah.
West Bromwich Albion player. Come on, Alec.
So now, Swift with this penalty. It doesn't step quite to the back of the penalty area in front of the Sunderland fans. Patterson bouncing up and down on the line. Swift comes forward.
Was that actually a penalty, you think, then, lads, or not?
Drove it pretty much down the middle. And West Bromwich Albion on the stroke of half-time lead by a goal to nil.
And you know, you're just looking at the celebration there by the West Bromwich Albion. It's a celebration of relief, really, because they haven't been in the game, Nick.
No.
You know, they haven't created anything at all. And you've got to just put it down to our mistake, which allow them to get that.
Once again, it looks like we played against 12 men again, doesn't it?
I mean, the bizarre thing is, moments ago, if his pass hadn't hit Ekwa, it would have found Ahmad on the far wing, and it'd been a completely different story. But fine margins.
I would not being biased because we're Sunderland fans. Was that definitely?
And John Swift has given West Bromwich Albion the lead as we approach half-time from the penalty spot. His 7th goal of the season, and we restart. It's picked up by Ahmad on the far side. We've got seconds left. I think we'll have another 30 seconds for the restart and the penalty. Clark looking for Barr. Barr trying to twist and turn away. Comes back to the centre circle.
Well, that's why we need VAR, because when you're talking about promotion matters and decisions like this, it's costing us. Could be costing us the playoffs. Because once again, a referee has just fucking no idea.
Yeah, Barrs went down. He's limping a little bit. And the ball back to Ekwa, and that will be half-time, I think.
You've got no chance. If the referees are against you, it doesn't matter how good you play. If the referees are just constantly against you, you've got no chance. You just can't do now.
Players trooping off here now. The deadlock broken just before the interval by a penalty, which will be debated obviously after what was deemed to be a foul by 09. It looked like the referee wasn't going to give a penalty. The assistant gave the kick and John Swift put it away. So half time as the players troop off. The referee John Busby walks off.
Must have made some social media stuff.
The players have to contemplate trying to score twice in the second half to win this game.
Yeah, they do indeed. And you've got to say that Sunderland were a far better team in that first half. You know, West Brom, you've got to say, I was expecting a lot more from West Brom, but credit to Sunderland the way we went about the game. We passed the ball well. Maybe we didn't create enough opportunities. The only clear-cut opportunity we created was the Jack Clark one. But, you know, we've got to blame ourselves. You know, I don't know, we'll have to look at it again, but it just seems as though it was a swipe by Luke O'Neill.
I've had several messages from people that are saying there was no contact or very little contact.
But it was the assistant on this near side who's actually said in the referee's ear that it was a penalty.
Well, it may be it comes to be judged harshly, the award of that penalty, and we'll have a discussion, no doubt, about that afterwards with Tony Mowbray. And it's going to have a big bearing now on the result of this game, because Sunderland, it's a game they have to win, and they now have to find 2 goals in the second half to do so. A reminder, the second half here from the Hawthorns will be on DAB and Freeview 719. The build-up to Newcastle's game against Tottenham Hotspur on FM from 1 o'clock. We will bring you the second half live, of course, here on BBC Radio Newcastle, but on DAB and Preview 719. At half-time, controversially, it's West Bromwich Albion 1, Sunderland 0.
AI, artificial intelligence, is taking over the world.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
It's able to do loads and loads of stuff now, including write songs.
I had a little go at some artificial intelligence weekend.
Oh, you've made a weekend song yourself?
Yeah.
Matt Bailey mentions I'll be every single day, and phone boy Tom deserves a pay rise.
There you go.
Matt Bailey mentions Albie. He's my son.
I don't think he'd write those lyrics.
Yeah.
That's the only problem
Just
with
to
take it one little step further, I tried to get an artificial intelligence of Matt's voice.
Well, you've uploaded my voice to AI.
Someone just said, never a pain. It's stupid by 09. Just stand up, man. Stand your ground and don't make the challenge.
And I'll be pressing some wrong buttons. So that's not actually me.
No.
The sound of the Northeast at breakfast. BBC Radio Newcastle, making a difference in the Northeast.
Dominic James back in the BBC Radio Newcastle studio. Thank you very much to Nick Barnes and to Gary Bent. We're back to the Hawthorns shortly, half-time.
The players might as well just get back on the team bus and head back up the A1 end, because when you played against referees, you've got no chance, have you? You just haven't, have you?
We're back there shortly.
Pointless. Doesn't matter how good we play second half.
Frequencies today. Very shortly indeed. Build up to our secondary commentary of the day begins at 1 on our FM frequency. It's a big game in the race for Champions League football. Newcastle take on Tottenham at St James's Park in a 2 o'clock kick-off. Our Newcastle commentator Matthew Rainsbeck is there now ahead of build-up and joins me now. Afternoon, Razor.
Hi, Dom. Good afternoon.
Not long until team news now. Do you think there'll be many changes to the side that lost to Aston Villa last week?
Well, I wouldn't have thought it would be the same 11, Dom, and Eddie Howe was asked about this in his news conference ahead of the match on Friday, and he hinted
that's why you need VAR, because it's costing teams and clubs millions of pounds
back in the squad,
promotion,
having
on relegation, because the referees can't do the job.
Is important for Newcastle. He came on at Aston Villa in the second half. I don't know whether we'll see him from the start today. There are also questions about left back, and will Eddie Howe make a change and bring Matt Targett in place of Dan Burn, who's had a brilliant season but a couple of tough weeks. That's been a topic of discussion through the week on Total Sport on BBC Radio Newcastle. But the strongest hint of all from Eddie Howe ahead of the match was that Sean Longstaff, who had been unwell leading up to the Villa game and was only on the bench, would probably come back into his midfield. But we'll find out for certain in just over 5 minutes' time.
And of course, it's a huge game in the race for the top 4 as well today, isn't it?
Oh, it's massive. Yeah, I mean, it's 4th against 5th, so they're side by side in the table. Newcastle do have some sort of advantage beyond that as well, because they have still a game in hand on Spurs and also a superior goal difference by 12
Well,
goals.
the Sky pundits are saying that was a definite penalty.
To make the most of those statistics that
he
are in their favour.
Onine took him out. That's what they just
win
said.
Here against a Tottenham team that's, I think, probably in a bit of disarray. They've
I'm just
changed
watching Sky.
their manager.
I'm just watching the match on Sky.
Manager in charge until the end of the season. They are not in particularly sparkling form seems to be quite a bit of supporter unrest as well. And Newcastle know that if they win today,
But once
they'll
again,
go 6
Sunderland were
points
fucking
clear
fannying about in
of
their own
Spurs,
half.
and it will also give them a big boost just generally, Dom, in the race for Europe, because we saw Liverpool win a tight game against Nottingham Forest in terms of the scoreline, 3-2 yesterday, and they are now just 6 points behind Newcastle, and Aston Villa are in the mix, and they were held to a draw by Brentford yesterday, but they'll fancy themselves as European contenders as well. So the chasing pack are picking up points.
Yeah.
Newcastle can increase the distance if they win today, and I think
Both
they
the
will.
pundits,
Thank you very much.
both the pundits are saying 09 got nowhere near the ball, totally
on our
clattered the
website.
player. That's what they're saying.
We will split at the end of half time, so in about 5 or 10 minutes. One other game in the Premier League today, Bournemouth against West Brom. That's at 2 o'clock. It's semi-final weekend in the FA Cup at Wembley. Manchester City beat Sheffield United 3-0 yesterday. Today, Brighton face Manchester United. That gets underway at 4:30. A bit closer to home in the Women's Championship today. Durham face Birmingham at Maiden Castle. That kicked off at 12 o'clock as well in half-time. Durham are 2-0 down to Birmingham there. At 2 o'clock today, Sunderland travel to Sheffield United. Again, 2 o'clock kick-off for that one there.
Well, they've obviously seen something that we haven't.
Yesterday, Gateshead lost 2-0 to Woking. Blythe losing 1-0 away to Alfreton. Must win now for them next week against Hereford if they are to survive relegation. In the Northern Premier League yesterday, Stafford Rangers beat South Shields 3-0. That, though, wasn't the biggest story of the day. South Shields confirmed that manager Kevin Phillips is good. Has left the club by mutual consent.
To give advantage to the one team.
It has been decided in the best interests of all parties to go their separate ways as the club continues on its road to be a more sustainable model. The chairman, Jeff Thompson, said this has been a very difficult decision to come to, particularly given the successful season we
even we do it.
I feel that this is the right time for me to depart for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
In the same division yesterday, Morpeth drew
If
Wellington Rylands 3-3. Goalkeeper Dan Lawson scoring a 90.
If like West Brom like to attack down one side specifically.
Spoke to BBC Radio Newcastle after the game.
If anyone deserved to score in the 95th minute was Lawson. He's played every game
We'll
this
walk
season.
the pitch so the ball skids and the passes gone quicker.
I think that's some feat at any level. He's a farrier by trade. He's got a tough job, and to be honest, he's been playing 70%. He's been carrying an injury, and he didn't want to miss. And if Dan Lawson doesn't want to miss a game, he doesn't miss a game. And he's been fantastic. I'm absolutely delighted for him. But for all the lads as well, they've given everything this season, and I can't ask any more of them. And that was just a fitting end of the season, coming back from 3-0 down, and everybody's delighted. The fans got behind us, and it makes a big difference. And it was brilliant, absolutely delighted today.
That's the moment with manager Craig Lynch. They're moving down a division into the East Division. Yesterday, Heaven Town confirmed a playoff place.
See, I think Sunderland were their own worst enemies for fucking about in their own half. They were fannying on, passing back in. You know, they lost the ball. You know, instead of, you know, I know it was a harsh penalty, but how many times have we seen this season Sunderland fucking about with the ball and then losing it in dangerous positions?
The division, the Scottish Lowland League, it was Berwick Rangers' last game of the season as well. They had a goalless draw to Spartans. A couple of games in the Northern League Division 1, in the Northern Leagues in Division 1. Ashton secured a playoff place, getting a 1-1 draw away to Bishop Auckland. They are now in the playoff places for that position. There in Division 2, Horden missed out on the title. They lost 3-0 away to Borough Rangers there. Away from football then and into cricket, day 4 of the county championship match between Glamorgan and Durham. The last 2 days have been hampered by rain and bad light. Durham are searching for plenty of wickets today to force a result. Our cricket commentator Martin Emerson can tell us how they're getting on.
Well, we've got the final delivery coming up here before lunch. Kieran Carlson playing this one off Liam Travascus out through the covers, and that will
Someone
go
says, think the refs have...
So that is lunch. Kieran Carlson will be on 97 when Glamorgan come back in 40 minutes' time at 251 for 8. They started this morning on 153 for 5, and Chris Cook was caught behind on 32.
Someone said, think the refs had a decent game. It was the linesman that gave the pen.
Morning. He'd added 64 with Carlson, so he departed. Then Dan Douthwaite, who was on 12, tried to hook a ball from Ben Rain. Not the sort of shot to play in the circumstances when his team was struggling on 180 for 6, and he put the ball off towards long leg. Carse coming in off the boundary, taking a great diving catch to dismiss him. And then Michael Nisa was gone just one run later, as Glamorgan were 181 for 8. He was LBW to Bryden Carse. But Durham have sort of lost their way a little bit with the ball. In fact, they're playing an extra over here. I thought that was going to be that, but the clock hasn't quite ticked over to 1 o'clock. One of the problems Durham have got here is the ball is now 69 overs old, so it's a little bit softer than it was. And Matt Kuhneman hasn't taken part this morning. He's on the players' balcony, and we're told he has a stiff back. So unfortunately, they've lost his services as a bowler, and they're trying to share things around with who's left. We're actually seeing Scott Borthwick bowling as well for the first time this season after he recovered from a broken finger. But I think Durham's challenge now is worsened by that fact, and also the fact that Carlson's still holding his own at one end. He's on 97. But the new ball will be available in 11 overs time. That may make a difference, but equally weather is forecast to move in on us around about 3-4 o'clock. So at the moment it would appear this one is heading for a draw.
Martin, thank you very much indeed. Commentary, as always, on the BBC Sport website and Sport app. Some snooker now in the Snooker World Championships at the Crucible in Sheffield. It's the second round. Wallsend's Gary Wilson is trailing Mark Selby after last night's evening session. They get back underway later this afternoon. The BBC Snooker reporter Shabnam News Jewel joins us on the line now and has all the details.
Yes, Gary Wilson yesterday, a really good
show. Do you think realistically we're going to come back and win 2-1? Because I can't see it against these.
Because it took quite a long time to get to the season interval. We were stuck at 2-2 when the match on the other table actually finished. So yeah, I've seen quite a few people talking about that. And at the end of the session, which finished 5-3 to Mark Selby, he's known for making a few jokes. He sort of turned around to the crowd and said, "Did you enjoy that?" And got a bit of a laugh at the end of it. But yeah, it was a really interesting session of snooker because both players are known to be quite gritty on the table. It was Selby who took the first frame, and Gary Wilson made it 1-1, quite a scrappy one, and then it continued to go back and forth. I think that key was that fifth frame actually, which took quite a long time to complete, and the fact that Gary Wilson won it just shows how tough he is mentally out there, especially against a player like Mark Selby. So I think that is a really good sign from Gary there, and he'll be disappointed to be trailing 5 frames to 3, but it's not a huge margin because, you know, this match is a best of 25 played over 3 sessions, and we'll have to see how they get on this afternoon and see if that pendulum swings in another way.
Shabnam, thank you very much indeed. Just quickly, what other games are on the tables today?
So the banks and companies investigated.
John Higgins, the 4-time champion, getting underway against Kyron Wilton, a finalist here at the Crucible. And it has been one-way traffic. Quite incredible, really. John Higgins is leading 7-0, which is an amazing scoreline. In fact, it might be 8-0. Let me just double-check that now from the last time I checked. Yeah, it's 8-0, actually. It's finished now, that session. Kyron Wilton has been in absolute great form recently, and John Higgins hasn't had a good season, so it's an incredible scoreline. He's just not let Wilson anywhere near the table, really. 8-0, huge for that, to take that commanding lead into their second session. But that's why he's a 4-time champion. He shows his best here at the Crucible.
Absolutely. Shabnam, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. We'll get more updates from the snooker throughout the afternoon as Gary Wilson has his second round match with Mark Selby there. Right, time for us to split BBC Radio Newcastle. Build up to Newcastle versus Tottenham with Matthew Racebeck and John Anderson is on our FM frequency second half commentary of West Brom versus Sunderland with Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett. It is on DAB and Freeview channel 719. We'll be back on all frequencies after the conclusion at the Hawthorns. It's time for you to choose now. Your respective commentary duos will be with you after this.
Half-time highlights.
Total Sport.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
So now Swift with this penalty. It doesn't step quite to the back of the penalty area up under the Sunderland fans. Patterson bouncing up and down on the line. Swift comes forward with his right and he scores.
The only way we were going to win this was scraping a 1-0 win. But not to come from behind.
On the stroke of half-time, lead by a goal to 0.
Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett, MBE.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Second half about to get underway. Get sent on the penalty spot. The referee was involved in quite a long conversation with Lyndon Gooch and Luke O'Nien in the tunnel as they were waiting to come out for the second half, and without any doubt that conversation would have been about the penalty at the end of the first half. A clumsy challenge by Luke O'Nien, but perhaps it was a harsh decision to give the penalty. But look, that's the difference between the two teams. Sunderland now defending the goal away to our left in their red and white stripes, black shorts, and West Brom away to our right in their blue and white stripes. No changes to either side at half-time. Equa putting the ball over the top for Gelhardt to chase, and Townsend to hook this away for West Bromwich Albion. Straight to Dan Neil inside the West Bromwich Albion half. Ahmad out here on the right.
Someone said if we had VAR this season, Sunderland without a shadow of a doubt would have been home and dry in the playoffs.
And closed down by Thomas Asante. Sunderland, Patterson in goal. It's a back four of Gooch, Hume, O'Nien and Sirkin. Then Neil and Equa in midfield, and Clark, Ahmad, Gelhardt and Barr. Here is Equa looking to get the ball to Gooch down the right wing, hooked away by the left.
If we'd had VAR on this, if we'd had VAR, Sunderland would be well established in the playoffs this season. The refs have cost us about 16 points.
On the touchline, on the halfway line, and then back to Hume inside to Dan Neil, and Neil here to Hume on this right hand side. The substitutes for Sunderland as Ahmad tries to flick it forward, but Carlin Grant gets in front of him and holds off Ahmad, but Gelhardt gets the ball.
He hasn't given it.
Got caught by Grant. John Busby 10 feet away didn't give a free kick.
To be fair, you watched a player. You watched Gelhardt. He didn't react, did he? He
got straight up.
He got straight up.
And the
good decision by the referee.
Yeah,
I'll give him that. Yeah.
They got the ball. The Sunderland benches: Bass, Roberts, Pritchard, Anderson, Taylor, Liaggi and Mishu. But a draw's no good really to either of these teams.
No, not at all. And I think we'll see Roberts after 10-15 minutes. We'll see him. You know, if we want to get back into the game, I think we'll see the introduction of Roberts. Or even Mishu as well.
Yeah.
The draw's no good.
As the ball played down the right here for West Brom. They break down the right with Wallace laying it off. Wallace now trying to cut back inside, in to the edge of the area. Furlong into the penalty area, comes back out and back in here again, and on the left foot it's come across the 6-yard box. There's a block, there's calls for handball, which I think there may have been, and it's blocked again and comes back out and blocked again on the 6-yard line. That was block after block after block from West Bromwich Albion. And then a challenge on this right wing by Neil. It's a free kick to West Bromwich Albion.
Yeah.
There was a hint of handball in there as well, but ball to hand, I think it was accidental.
Yeah, accidental, but it was good play by West Brom. You're just thinking how they didn't score.
Yeah, they'll be wondering. I'm wondering. I think you're wondering. 1-0 still then to West Bromwich Albion. They were lining up to shoot. This free kick.
Can't afford to concede a second goal.
No.
There'll be no way back, I don't think.
No, I think you're absolutely right. There's another set piece for West Bromwich Albion. Grant is at the edge of the area, so's Wallace. Here's Swift, drives it into the near post. It's come down to the feet of Niels, who tried to head it away first time. Then Ahmad digs
West Brom have come out second half with the tails up, like.
Puts his foot right through it, high up onto the.
It's all West Brom second half.
We're on the
I think we need to bring Roberts on. I really do. If we're going to go down,
something different.
Go down fighting. Let's not wait till we concede the before we make that substitution. While it's 1-0, we're still in the game. We're still in the game.
Well, I think they got away with one there, Sunderland on the goal line, because it looked like Hume passed it back to Patterson. It looked to go out, and now a shot from Grant just outside the box, saved by Patterson. A little bit more vigour about West Bromwich Albion in this second half.
Well, to be fair, Nick, they couldn't have been worse than what they were in the first half, and that's credit to Sunderland, because to be fair, there wasn't a threat in the first 45 minutes.
Harrison?
Kick from Patterson right up the other end to Alex Palmer, who's all in yellow. Palmer in goal. Furlong, Ajayi, Peters and Townsend, the back four. Malumbi and Yakuzlu. There's a foul on Ekwa by Swift, who gets booked. Wallace, Swift and Grant, the midfield. Thomas Asante up front, and Swift is the third booking.
Get in, you bastards! Get in! Get in!
The 51st minute. Ahmad now. Free kick's taken.
What a fucking header! I tell you what, Lyndon Gooch down the right, twisted and turned. Lovely football cross into the box. Jack Clark.
Out to Sirkin on the left. He slips it inside to Barr again. Barr across to Gooch here. And Gooch has got a bit of space, or he did have until he was closed down at the edge of the area by Grant. Now Gooch trying to work it in past two players. He crosses. Oh, and what a goal!
Take that, you cheating bastards, you.
Has headed it into the top right corner. Dennis Sirkin, 12 yards out, heads it beyond Palmer, top right corner, and Sunderland are level.
I said Clark, didn't I? It looked
What a
like.
good cross that was by Lyndon Gooch. But I tell you what, it took ages for it to go in the back of the net.
Oh no, hung there for a long time.
But what a good header that was by Dennis Sirkin.
But as you say, a good ball in from Gooch as well. Two defenders in front of him.
One full back to another.
Yeah. And they're back on level terms. So, Sirkin scores again.
Oh yeah, fucking destroy these cheating cunts.
Goal of the season, and perhaps his most important goal of the season, to put Sunderland level at the start of this second half. And West Bromwich Albion now trying to get forward from Ekwa. He does foul, the advantage played, Swift down the right to Wallace, and then it's come back here, Townsend down to Grant in the penalty area, right-footed, it's blocked, comes back out to Townsend, trying to put it back in the box, but it's dropped for Clark to dribble this out and play it out on the left now to Barr. Over the halfway line, it's whipped off him by Ajayi, who goes through the back of Clark. No foul, says the referee. And away comes Wallace again on the right-hand side for West Bromwich Albion. And in goes Sirkin to drive the ball into touch. Game on. And the ball is just left over there for Wallace to go.
We have a game on our hands now, lads.
No favours given. West Bromwich Albion 1, Sunderland 1. 53rd minute. So, all still to play for. The ball in midfield, played back to Peters in the centre circle. The Dutchman puts his foot on it, signed from Burnley in the summer, drives it down to Grant in the penalty area. Gooch on his shoulder, he's pulled it back, but
I hope it was 15 metres offside. I really do.
Out to Ahmad. Ahmad up to
I hope it was 15 minutes offside and it shouldn't have been a goal.
On halfway, and he's just caught by Ajayi.
I tell you, how many times is he going to do that?
And he's being called to the referee.
You've got to have a word with him, referee.
Referee speaking to Semi Ajayi, the Nigerian international, who does put himself about. Neil to Hume on the right, just in his own half. Son trying to break through again here. And on to Gelhardt, leaves it for Neil, left him a little bit to do, but he's got away from Malumbi, out wide to Clark now on the left-hand side. Clark dribbling into the penalty area. Oh, he's got knocked, but he went down too easily. Picks himself up.
That wasn't a pen, that, like.
And I think actually Clark's at risk of being booked.
He could have got booked for that.
For diving. I think that's what the West Bromwich Albion players are saying to John Busby, the referee. And I think they've got a point, actually. I think Clark did sort of bounce off the defender a bit too easily and went down looking for the penalty. And I suggest the West Brom fans to our right agree. It's all heating up.
It is, indeed.
It's
That's
moving
where
on.
the boiler comes into play.
Indeed. Do you think that there'll be some bizarre involvement?
So saying the point, you're saying the point is no good.
About in his technical area, Mark Venus having a word with James Linnington, the fourth official. Throw to West Bromwich Albion on the far side. Big shove in the back of Thomas Asante by O'Nien. Coming away with the ball is Neil up into the West Brom half, out to Ahmad on the right here. Ahmad inside to Neil again. Neil back to Hume. Hume across to O'Nien. This is nice sunshine. I think the forecast, though, as Martin Emerson was talking about this at Cardiff.
Tell you what, Sunderland have got the tails up here, like they look fired.
That's the case here too. Here's Ahmad dribbling at the corner of the penalty area, into the box, slips it into Gooch here, right side, and it's saved at the post by Palmer as Gooch tried to drive it in at the near post on the angle. Throw to Sunderland on the right. Ahmad drops to Neil. Gooch trying to... Well, he's four defenders around him. He's blocked in the penalty area, just outside the box. He's still got it. He's done well here. He's got it to Gelhardt, back into the middle. O'Nien now to Sirkin. Sirkin at the corner of the penalty. Try to drive it in for Barr, but it's blocked and it will go out for a throw to Sunderland on the far side. 1-1 still.
Great response by Sunderland from going a goal down.
And after quite a bright start by West Bromwich Albion to the second half. Here's Yokuzlu, finds Grant, Carlin Grant, plays it back to Yokuzlu, back to Peters, at the edge of the West Bromwich Albion penalty area. He passes it back to Yokuzlu, and then to Ajayi. Lots of experience from the three at the back there internationally. Up to the halfway line, it breaks for Neil. Neil, and he's nearly caught by Wallace, but he sidesteps him, and then Neil plays it across to the right here now to Gooch. 57th minute, West Bromwich Albion 1, Sunderland 1. Live here on BBC Radio Newcastle. And the ball played out to the left wing. Sirkin, scorer of the equaliser, back to O'Nien, short to Neil, back to Luke O'Nien, and then again to Sirkin on the far side. You can hear the Sunderland fans away in the corner on the right of us. They fill up half that stand pretty much. And now back to Hume on the halfway line on the right hand side, out to Gooch on this right side. Carlos Corberan, his body's been melded and warped into all sorts of shapes. Throw then for Townsend, West Bromwich Albion, just down from Tony Mowbray. And Mark Venus having a word with...
All you can hear is the Sunderland fans.
Townsend throw. Thomas Asante on, it's headed away by Gooch. Back to the halfway line. Swift trying to get away from Ahmad. Ahmad's trying to get away from Yokuzlu. Yokuzlu's got the ball and leaves it here to the left to Townsend. Down to Swift.
I tell you what,
left-hand wing.
Gooch has been on fire when he's playing, like, hasn't he? You can't say his commitment.
Goal line. He pulls it back into the penalty area, headed away by Hume. Out it comes to Malumbi, who plays it to Swift on the left, and down the left again to Townsend to cross, and then past the outstretched foot of Thomas Asante, 6 yards out. It sweeps through for a throw on the far side to Sunderland.
Good ball in. Excellent ball in there.
The ref.
Across comes Sirkin finally to take the throw. To Neil. Sirkin back to O'Nien on the goal line, out to Neil, out to Sirkin on the left, and it's intercepted down that right side, and a free kick
being given. Yeah.
I mean, John Busby took his time about making the decision again, but he's given West Bromwich Albion a free kick on the right wing, deep in the Sunderland half, in the almost up the hour mark now, 60th minute. Swift will take the kick. Wallace just outside the penalty area. To his left is Carlin Grant. They've lined up 12 yards inside the penalty area. Townsend's a bit wide as well. He's got Gelhardt trying to keep half an eye on him. Peters back at the edge of the centre circle.
Fighting there, Luke O'Nien and Ajayi are fighting, aren't they?
Referee's coming in and having a word now with the pair of them. It was, by the look of it, only a word. Now he backs out again.
Fighting, look,
and
they're still having a go.
Yeah, there's a lot of
careful,
wrestling going on. The ball played in here, and down goes Ajayi. And it's a corner.
Got to be careful, Luke 09.
There's a lot of shaking of the head by John Busby. And Ajayi went down.
He went down too easy again.
He did go down too easily. It's only West Bromwich Albion's second corner. Swift has gone down here to take it. On the left, then Swift with the corner towards the far post, headed away well by Sirkin, and now it's picked up on the far side by Barr. He's going to be
See you later,
to
Luke.
it, and across comes Sirkin to smash the ball into the ears of the big stand on the far side. Throw to West Bromwich Albion.
It's going to be a long throw.
And towel has been hurled to. Is it Townsend? It's not. Is it Furlong? Furlong is going to take the throw. Drying the ball off. Darnell Furlong. It's a big pink towel. Steps back, he leans into the advertising hoarding and then hurls the ball into the penalty area.
West Brom are dropping like a sack of shit in the box, like.
By Clark, sorry, the back of his head, then comes back into to clear.
They're trying their utmost hardest to get a second penalty, like.
Peters, now down goes Ajayi again. He feels he was pulled down. The referee's not batted an eyelid there, and it comes up to Ahmad now.
Oh,
he tried to lob the goalkeeper. It was a weak attempt, gathered by Palmer and bowled out on the left here. Grant up to the halfway line, still 1-1. Now Townsend down the left wing, tackle by Ekwa.
How funny if we were to get a 112th minute winner.
Their last games away at Sheffield United in the week, then home to Norwich and away at Swansea on the last day. They too really need a win, as Grant trying to cross into the penalty area, got through towards Swift, and then a block on the goal line.
Excellent
by Hume.
defending by Trey Hume.
Yeah.
Excellent defending.
Put his body behind the ball.
Tell you what, it's a fast-flowing game this now, like.
Excellent.
63rd minute. West Bromwich Albion 1, Sunderland 1. Live on BBC Radio Newcastle. The build-up to Newcastle's game against Tottenham is on FM if you are wanting that. But I think there's plenty of drama still to come in this game. There's the kick from Patterson. Floats up towards Gelhardt, headed away by Peters, the halfway line. Yakuzlu onto the head of Gooch. Ahmad trying to get to it. Townsend gets it up to Swift. Comes back to Malumbi. Digs it out for Grant on the left. Takes it on his chest. Gooch trying to get in behind him. Thomas Asante with Hume down the left of the penalty area. Hume sticking with the striker. He tries to get the ball in the box. A block by Hume. It drops for Yakuzlu. Gets it out wide to Townsend. Townsend's ball in the box. Headed away by Hume. Out to Barr. And now a little back heel from Gelhardt. Back to Barr.
Oh, better pass.
Ahmad looked to break. Across came Ajayi. Ball goes forwards down the left here now to Townsend. Inside on the halfway line. Yakuzlu gives it away to Ekwa. Now to Gelhardt. Gelhardt's got Ahmad to his right here. Ahmad now towards the corner of the penalty area. Into the penalty area. Flicks it into Gelhardt onto his left. He tried to play it through, but Ajayi clears it. Gelhardt on his backside at the moment. And Gooch crosses, curls it into the far post, and it's headed away from Clark behind by Furlong for another Sunderland corner.
Better pass by Barr, and Ahmad would have been away.
There's a committee meeting going on down in the technical area. Mark Venus, Mike Dodds, Tony Mowbray and Michael Proctor.
I think West Brom are there for the taking. I really do. Roberts is about to come on. I think we need to believe ourselves, and I think we've got a chance to take them on here. Like
substitution, the ball curled in here. Hume looking for it. It's curled in and round behind for a goal kick. So Roberts and Michu will be coming on.
Let's not forget though,
Bar and
West Brom is still a threat when they're going forward.
1-1
Don't
in
know
the
yet.
65th minute. The ball played to Peters at the corner of the 6-yard box, back to Palmer, out to Yukuzlu, back to Peters on the left here, bringing this out. Gelhardt with him, he's played it over the halfway line looking for Swift.
God, my throat's making me sound like Barry White.
The run of Thomas Asante. O'Nien sprinting back. Asante's put it back, pulled it back. Thomas Asante's crashed into the advertising boards. O'Nien's helping him up. It's going to be a corner.
He's done well to keep that in.
He did. Possibly at a cost, but he seems to be all right. And so Swift goes down to the corner. Again, it's a third West Bromwich Albion corner. It's 1-1. We're in the...
Let's say Danny Bath and Ballard, 3 injured centre-backs, all 6'3" inches.
Newcastle will have reaction tomorrow, of course, breakfast and Total Sport. Here's the corner towards the far post, and it's headed and punched above and over the bar by Patterson. Headed from the corner of the 6-yard box.
You what, mate?
Patterson got both hands underneath it. Gets it over the bar.
No, I'm just saying Sunderland missing 3 defenders all over 6 foot. And we're doing really well to defend against these lot at the minute.
And another corner forthcoming.
What's that him?
We've got 2 outside.
Here comes Patrick Robertson and Edouard Michu.
Swift then again from the right, drives this in, and it's headed away by Clark. It will come out for Barr to try and get on the end of, but Wallace kept his calm and brought the ball down and bringing this forwards.
I think it's Ahmad Diallo coming off.
To Carlin Grant. In front of him is Gooch. Grant onto his right foot to cross towards the far post. Away from
Demba Ba coming off. And
it's either offside or the flag.
Abdullah Ba and Ekwa's coming off, and then Bar Black Sheep's coming on.
And the other, of course, Ekwa for Michu.
At the moment, Sunderland are 8th, West Brom are 9th.
So off comes Ekwa. Jogs off now. Michu, his replacement. And it's all square, 1-1, with plenty to play for. We're almost halfway, well, we are pretty much halfway through the second half. Sunderland really need to win this if they're going to keep alive their hopes of reaching the playoffs. West Brom probably have to win it. They could probably get away with a draw with their game in hand of the week, but that game in hand's against Sheffield United. As Patterson clears up towards the halfway line, and it comes down on the chest of Roberts, but he caught it with his hand, and it's a free kick now to West Bromwich Albion just inside the Sunderland half to the left of the centre circle.
This one? Yeah.
Swift will take it.
Jai is going up.
Yeah, Semi Ajayi's gone up towards the edge of the penalty area. Swift then with the free kick drives it towards Ajayi at the corner of the penalty. There's a lot of pushing and shoving, but it's come out and it's come back in again and headed away by Neil and then hooked away by Gooch up to Ahmad, and he's trying to get Gelhardt away, or Clark away, but it's swept past and back to the goalkeeper. This kick right up to Sirkin, who plays it inside to Patterson in the penalty area. And Patterson kicking up over the halfway line, up to the halfway line. Ahmad gets it out to Roberts. Gelhardt making a run down the right. Roberts has gone into the centre and pings it over to the far side, looking for Clark. Couldn't keep it in.
Guys!
Tony Mowbray puts his head in his hands and wipes his face. And it's a throw taken quickly by West Bromwich Albion. 70th minute. 1-1 here at the Hawthorns. Peters bringing this out. He's got Townsend out to his left here. Townsend now closed down by Roberts. slips it back inside and back into the middle to Yokuzlu. And Yokuzlu with Gelhardt, who hauls him down. I mean, that was a rugby league challenge, and he's going to get a yellow card for it. And yeah, that was entirely out of the rugby league rulebook. Arms round the waist and hauled him down.
Oh, well done, Patrick Roberts.
If you're a rugby league player.
Correct.
And Peters will take the free kick.
There's the chance of Sunderland take over everywhere we go.
Comes Malumbi.
I don't see.
Peters.
You shut that door so I'm freezing the underdogs here.
Pass to Peters. Drives it down. Gooch will put his foot on it in front of Townsend and slip it down the line to Roberts. Roberts inside. Oh,
it's going a bit scrappy at the minute, like.
And out on the left, Malumbi's still going. Roberts on his shoulder, and he gets the ball over the goal line. Off Malumbi, he goes down, he's punching the floor. Malumbi in front of the referee.
I felt sorry for the floor, the pitch.
I don't know, he's absolutely enraged. Malumbi, it was just a good challenge by Roberts. Malumbi's a little careful, he's been booked in the first half.
If it finishes 1-1, there's no way it can be just a disgrace for Sunderland.
But Ahmad didn't read it this time. Comes out for a throw halfway inside the West Bromwich Albion half on the left, which Connor Townsend will take. Just in front of Tony Mowbray. Looking for, well, Sirkin on the shoulder of Wallace, who suddenly spectacularly went down. No complaints, and I'm not quite sure what he did. And it's a throw again for West Bromwich Albion on this left-hand side, which Townsend will take. Down the line it goes. A chase for Swift into the corner. Hume stuck with him, and it's a throw to Sunderland. Get a slight sense that West Bromwich Albion starting to get a little bit frustrated. Pegged back now, 1-1. Sunderland have played themselves back into the second half. Here's Yokuzlu looking for Thomas Asante. The ball whipped off his feet though and cleared out to eventually Clark and up to Gelhardt, who's battling with Ajayi on the halfway line. Ajayi wins that particular battle, and then it's swept in by Wallace and stamped away by Neil by Hume at the edge of the penalty area, and it'll go for a throw to Sunderland on the far side. Sirkin down to O'Nien, back out to Sirkin, looking for the run here of Clark and Gelhardt. It's Gelhardt who's forwards, and it's eventually rolled out, and Ajayi will take the throw back to Palmer. Gelhardt goes to close him down. Palmer kicks clear to the halfway line, headed away by O'Nien.
Someone just said on my chat, give us a song, Barry. Barry White.
73rd minute. Will anything give?
Yes. We'll get a
Stop taking the mick out my sore throat.
Mishu down to Sirkin on the left. Sirkin, who headed the equaliser in the 51st minute. Back edge of the centre circle, squares it to Hume. Hume teasing Swift to come to him, and he plays it to O'Nien, and then to Clark. Clark back inside to Mishu, and then back inside to O'Nien. It's given away, and now picked up by Wallace. And Wallace across to Townsend, left of midfield. Townsend looking to go wider and finding there Grant. Grant with Roberts in front of him. In fact, he's got three defenders in front of him. He still slides it inside to Townsend, who turns and gets the cross in. Thomas Asante, though,
we're giving away stupid fucking passes again deep in our half, like.
Out for a throw to Sunderland. It comes off the head of Peters.
Pritchard's going to come on.
Yeah, Pritchard stripped in the dugout, and Gooch jogging down, picks up the ball. Carlos Corberan is a sideshow in itself, watching him on the touchline. It looks like he's dancing on ice, and the ball comes
starting to take control. West Brom now, like.
To Patterson, closed down by Swift, passes out to Hume, out into Kozlu's path in midfield. Just heaping problems upon themselves here, Sunderland.
There's playing, but there's overplaying as well, isn't there?
Yeah. Ajayi has it in the West Brom half, trying to get it down the right wing for Thomas Asante, but O'Nien stretches his foot out and manages to steer it back to Patterson, who kicks it up to the halfway line. Yukuzlu onto Malumbi, and now left for Swift, and it comes back to Ajayi, and he drives it down the left wing, and Gooch heads it away, kept in by Ahmad, and it bobbles out to throw to West Bromwich Albion.
Yeah, they're going to make
a slip on the sidelines by Malumbi, who throws the ball back to Peters and back to Palmer. 1-1 in the 76th minute. Yukuzlu being chased by Gelhardt, gives the ball away to Gooch, who pokes it through to Ahmad, back to Gooch.
Go on, keep going, keep going.
Gelhardt on his shoulder, through to Clark, behind Clark. And it's forced him wide, and it's given West Brom an opportunity to get everybody back. Clark to the goal line now, but lots of blue and white shirts back in the penalty area. Out to Neil, punched away to Clark.
Get in!
Oh,
he's missed!
Follows up and puts it past the foot of the right post.
Pritchard's on. Pritchard's on.
Big opportunity.
Gelhardt off. Alex Pritchard on.
Gelhardt coming off.
Oh, how close was that?
So 1-1. Gelhardt comes off.
Good strike by Dan Neil as well.
Yes, it was.
But
Good
you're just
save.
thinking, Clark, get it on target. Told you they'd get an opportunity. That's the one.
So the substitution made, 77th minute. Pritchard on for Gelhardt.
It's not offside. It's a goal kick, man.
Yeah, it was the goalkeeper being told by the assistant to place the ball on the 6-yard line.
O'Nien's just had a yellow card.
As we go into the closing stages of the game now, the final quarter of an hour. And the kick over the halfway line, up goes Hume above Thomas Asante, drops for Ajayi, now Furlong just trying to find Thomas Asante with his chest. He's chested it down to Swift, who's caught by O'Nien, and we booked. And a free kick 20 odd yards out on the right side of midfield. West Bromwich Albion 1, Sunderland 1. If it ends 1-1, Sunderland would actually be, 2 points behind Blackburn in 6th place. But with only 2 games left, Blackburn with a game in hand as well. It wouldn't technically be over their playoff hopes, but it'd be a big ask. Swift will take the free kick then for West Bromwich Albion. With his right, drives this in. Yukuzlu heads over, or Ajayi. I think it was Yukuzlu. Got his head on the end of that. Ajayi was on his shoulder, over the bar. It's the Turk who did, and it's a goal kick. Dan Neil in conversation with John Busby, the referee. Referee having a long word with Dan Neil. Dan Neil's pursuing the conversation, and now the kick will be taken by Patterson. It's gone out wide to the left, Sirkin heading it on, Clark trying to get inside to Sirkin, and forwards for Pritchard to chase down the touchline, but it rolls out. Ajayi scoops the ball up, leaves it for Furlong to take the throw into the 80th minute now. And this throw over on the far side.
West Brom score
on the right,
and it's disallowed.
Down the line, it's headed away by Sirkin. It's picked up by Swift in the end on the halfway line, looking to try and get, well, Townsend in on the left wing here. Just keeps it in, slips it inside to Grant from Roberts. Back into the penalty area. Swift runs onto it, on his right, trying to shake off Hume. Dinks it across towards the far post, and it's headed down and wide. It's gone out.
It's gone out, it's gone out, it's gone out.
It's gone out. The flag was up before it was smashed home by Yokuzlu. It's still 1-1. The goal kick to Sunderland. Patterson gathering the ball, 81st minute. It's placed in the middle of his 6-yard line. West Brom's fans trying to rouse their team. Patterson's kick driven up through the middle. Ahmad with his eye on it, headed away by Peters, who's appealed to the assistant. Ball played up towards Thomas Asante, tackled by Hume, out to the touchline. He and
tackles going in now.
Yeah, Sirkin go over together. Thomas Asante and Sirkin. It's a throw to Sunderland's going to be a change for West Bromwich Albion. I think it's Mark Albrighton, who's on loan from Leicester, is coming on. It'll be their first change. Little dink on by Clark, one back by Yokuzlu now, but tackled by Pritchard, up to Ahmad eventually, and back behind him Neil, and Neil out to Roberts on the right hand side here. Roberts now penalty area, trying to square it, but just cut out by Peters and cleared back up into the Sunderland half. And back to Patterson, he comes out and passes it out on this right hand side to Hume, to Roberts on the touchline. Roberts back to Gooch, just inside his own half wide here, and Gooch back to
As for effort, though, I think it's been a superb performance from Sunderland so far.
Patterson passing it out to Hume, in the middle to Neil, trying to shake off Malumbi, turns, gets
We've
it
certainly
to Roberts
matched
here now. Roberts
West Brom
to
without a
Pritchard,
shadow of a
little
doubt.
touch back to Roberts, but it's cut out by Wallace, and then one back by Ajayi from Yokuzlu's tackle. Grant taken out by Gooch. It's going to be a card for Gooch. And they're totting up the yellow cards now for Sunderland in the second half, after they totted up for West Bromwich Albion in the first half. And now the change will be made. Grant is coming off. And in fact it's Jovan. Now I'm sure it's Albrighton that's coming on. Yeah, they put the wrong number up. He put the 32 up, but it's actually the 22 that's coming on. Mark Albrighton, as I say, is on loan from Leicester City. He comes on in the 83rd minute. The ball back with Palmer.
Isbeth?
Takes the free kick after Gooch's foul.
Oh, is that iPad dead soon?
Drops down the right wing. It's picked up by Albrighton, lost by him, and now Mishu brings it out. Onto the left here. Clark, he's got Pritchard inside. Pritchard running onto this. Pritchard being chased by Yokuzlu. He's still going wide down the left. He's got Clark inside. Pritchard at the edge of the area. He needs a bit of support here. Gets Clark. Clark crosses it into the path of Gooch here down the right hand side.
Get in! Get in! Get in, you bastards! Get in!
Across again to Sirkin. Sirkin down to Clark on the left at the corner of the penalty area. Clark is trying to find a way in.
Now I'm only having you on, lads.
To O'Nien in the middle. Then across to
Ahmad
on the right here. And Ahmad will play it back to O'Nien at the end of the centre circle. Mishu. Out to Sirkin, back inside to Mishu. Into the penalty area, Pritchard, back to Sirkin! Oh, what a goal! He's done it again! Dennis Sirkin, what a goal! That is football!
Ant, watch the screen. Ant, watch the screen. Watch the screen, Ant.
He could have won it for Sunderland.
That is total football.
Watch the screen, Ant.
Work goal. What a good finish.
Tremendous finish on his left foot.
You've got to see that again. Excellent play.
Burst into the penalty area.
Holy moly.
And that's a serious dent then to West Bromwich Albion.
Oh, great goal.
Who are making a change now. Yokuzlu is coming off. to be replaced by Gardner Hickman. But Dennis Sirkin, on his return to the team, has a double, has a brace that could see Sunderland, well, it will if they win into the playoffs. And what will happen then?
Total football, that is. Great play. West Brom was chasing shadows, weren't they?
5 minutes of the 90 to go.
Nicholas, what did I tell you? I said we will get
another chance. West Bromwich Albion 1, Sunderland 2. Dennis Sirkin with 2. And now a free kick to West Bromwich Albion, quickly taken. Wallace down the left-hand side to the corner here, blocked. It's knocked out off Wallace, surely it's a throw to Sunderland. Down on the right. Leading 2-1 as we go into the final minutes of the game. And here the Sunderland fans over on the right, to our right. Scarves being whirled above heads as the ball, Pritchard back to Hume, out to Gooch, down the line. Oh, driven into the middle by Robertson, picked up by the substitute, and by Swift. And out now from, a bit of pushing and shoving between Clark and Swift, but it's out up to the middle through Roberts and Mishu. Mishu trying to get forwards. He's tackled by Malumbi. Malumbi now for West Bromwich Albion, looking for Wallace on this left wing. Wallace, he's got the overlap coming from Townsend. It goes down to Townsend on the left-hand side.
It's going to be at least 12 minutes added on.
O'Nien, Clark on the far side, hooks it away. Out for a throw to West Bromwich Albion on the right in the 87th minute. Furlong again drying the ball off. West Bromwich Albion 1, Sunderland 2, minutes to go.
It's iPad.
Cross from the right, and it's headed away behind us. Well, there are appeals for a push by Townsend, but they are going to fall on deaf ears. In fact, John Busby just shows Townsend his hand, and that is enough. 2-1 then, Sunderland lead. This will, if they hold on, will lift them into the playoffs on goal difference into 6th place.
Shut up!
That said, West Brom and Blackburn both have games in hand, but they have to win them. Kick from Patterson, away down the left, headed powerfully forwards by Furlong. It comes back down that right-hand side, the West Brom right. Ajayi heads it on. It drops into midfield here for Albrighton, who gets away down through the middle, away from Neil. And Albrighton could try one from range, and it whistles past the left post. They're going to make a triple.
I don't know why it wasn't on charge.
Coming on, isn't he? Bartley, sorry. Bartley, centre
back. Bartley, the centre back.
Patrick, he's coming on.
The Australian.
He scored against us at the stadium.
He did, yeah.
Came on as a sub, remember?
Yeah.
And again, I think that's Hickman, is it?
He's already on, Gardner Hickman. It'll be Mo Fowl, yeah.
Mo Fowl.
So the triple substitution beckoning for West Bromwich Albion. We're in the 89th minute. It's 2-1 to Sunderland. Ajayi heads the ball straight at Luke O'Nien. O'Nien puts it right back down the right side of the West Bromwich Albion penalty area.
3 subs coming on for West Brom now.
Another factor. Yeah. It's being brought out by Peters here, trying to play it through the middle to Wallace. Tackle. Mishu now as a free kick. Foul by Pritchard, says the referee. The substitutions will be made now in the 90th minute. And it's Swift coming off for foul. It's Malumbi is being replaced.
Bartley's gone up front, hasn't he? I would imagine.
Yeah, for his height, isn't it?
Yeah.
Roderick is coming on for Malumbi. And the other is Peters. So West Bromwich Albion made all 5 substitutions. We're in the last minute. It's a free kick in the centre circle to West Bromwich Albion, who are trailing 2-1.
Got to manage the game, boys.
Up, it's swept towards Bartley in the penalty area. Down goes Hume.
That's a foul. It was a foul on him.
Whistle's blown.
4 minutes at a time. 4 minutes at a time.
A free kick, is it?
Yeah. On Trey Hume. It was a foul.
No, it's Bartley. Yeah, it was the
Bartley
perpetrator. He's a big man, Carl Bartley. And
he's caught him with his elbow.
His call out from Townsend.
How long?
Tell you what, if Sunderland win this today, I reckon we should do at least 4 hours worth of jokes stream after the stream.
To Sunderland. Wide on the right hand side here. We're into those 4 minutes. West Bromwich Albion 1, Sunderland 2. The ball kicked up to the halfway line. Ajayi brings it down, plays it back to Alex Palmer, the goalkeeper, passing it out to Furlong. Clark on his shoulder, gets a touch off Clark, out for a throw to West Bromwich Albion on the far side in their own half. They take it quickly, drops to Furlong, who plays it back to Palmer. Palmer bringing this out, being urged to get the ball upfield by Carlos Corberan. He finally kicks it up and away towards the left, drops for Townsend, battles with Gooch, and then it's brought down and it's trying to get it through to Fowl, another giant of a striker, the 20-year-old. And then here's Neil, just dropping the ball, looking for Roberts. Comes down to Bartley, and it's on the halfway line. Ahmad catches Townsend. It'll be a free kick to West Bromwich Albion on the halfway line on the left. 2.5 minutes of the 4 to play, but who knows how much more might be added on. Gardner Hickman taking this free kick.
Gotta be strong.
Just
here,
10
boys.
yards in on halfway. Drives it towards the far corner of the penalty area. Looking for Bartley, gets his head on it across the 18-yard line to Fowl. Comes out to Albrighton in the middle of the Sunderland half. He's forced to go back, then looks for Fowl on his right. He got his foot through it, but no power to it, and easily, comfortably saved by Patterson. 2 minutes left. West Bromwich Albion 1, Sunderland 2, and Sunderland's unlikeliest of ends of the season.
We've got a minute and 10 seconds left to hang on, lads, and we've got to throw in deep in their half.
You know, it's typical that Sunderland will go and go because that's how they are, especially away from home.
And this season of all seasons, as the ball headed on by Neil to Ahmad. Ahmad has got Robinson.
50 seconds, 60 seconds to go.
Taking it down the touchline towards the corner. Checks and just plays it back to Ahmad. It's put out by Wallace. Throw to Sunderland. Ahmad leaves it, then flicks it to Roberts. And John Busby saying, get on with it. Roberts with this throw then, just over a minute left. Looking for Pritchard, down in the corner. Pritchard just lets it run off his back heel for a throw to West Bromwich Albion in the left corner. And time is running out for them. Technically in the last minute, as it's headed on by Roberts. Bartley heads it back again, flicked on by Fowl, but it's hooked away by Hume. It's an attempt to lob the goalkeeper. It's caught by Palmer. And they're barking at him to get it forwards from the West Bromwich Albion bench. 30 seconds left. It's headed on by Furlong, and it's hooked away by an over, or it's almost a donkey kick by Clark to the halfway line.
Oh no, I don't believe it. I don't fucking believe it. I've just pulled my toenail off. I've just pulled my toenail off. Ah, you bastard.
And nodded back to Ajayi. Ajayi trying to get this up towards Wallace, who chests it down now to Albrighton. Albrighton, no, he's skipped through here, and he drags his shot wide.
That's it.
It's a goal kick to Sunderland. That's the 4 minutes. Will there be much more added on?
Get in, lads.
Luke O'Nien is pulled to his feet. That is it. Sunderland win. 2-1 winners here at the Hawthorns. They're 6th in the championship on goal difference. There's still a lot to play out with games in hand for West Brom and Blackburn.
That is a fucking that is a win of the season. That is a win of the season.
And And then Preston away. It's in their own hands. They win those two. Who knows?
Who knows, Nick? But you've got to give credit to.
What a performance from the lads! That.
You know, you look at the injuries which we've had. Put out a team, and you know,
loving the live and feeling mascot. Would love one being Coventry City final miles.
What a well-worked.
I don't have room for
On
nothing.
Friday night we were talking about, you know, going in the season for the EFL, and the goal which we scored.
Sounds like Patterson put in. Aye, yes, aye. Great performance. Evil says Bulldog Fitness.
But you look at the second goal which we scored. West Brom was chasing shadows, and credit to Turkey.
What do you want?
He's a fullback, but he's not afraid to get into that 18-yard box and get onto the end of things.
And what two composed finishes.
Right, who's going to start the first joke off then?
Wonderful header, and then a terrific left foot into the top right corner as the players go down to the Sunderland fans behind the goal, away to our right, and they're all heading down there now. Ahmad sprinting down from the halfway line. See what it means to them. Nobody in red and white is leaving.
Nick, remember when you said that we had 8,500 for Preston? Just imagine if we win next week at Watford, do you think there'll be 8,500 there?
No, there'll be more, but you know, it's now they've got to get over the hurdle of the home game in Watford.
No, that's right. You know, it just gives us a little bit more leeway. Maybe might get a player back from injury.
Possibly. But this afternoon they've done it again. Terrific team spirit. They've given it their all.
And great team performance. But the likes of Trey Hume, centre back, fantastic. Oh, defensively, we were sound. We were good. We made one mistake, which led to the goal. Penalty.
And all the players just stood applauding the Sunderland fans. Mishu's strolling off. They're all starting to break away now, but the majority of them still standing. Pritchard is at the forefront of them all, applauding the supporters banked up on that stand, who are going to have a wonderful journey home this afternoon. So are we. It's a great result. Huge effort from Sunderland this afternoon as Joffrey Gelhardt jogs off, shakes the hand of Michael Proctor. Ellis Taylor, who was one of the unused substitutes, enjoying it as well. They still look back, the players, they walk off at the Sunderland fans, massed on that big bank of seats away to our right. What a result, what a result.
Nick, that was not a lucky result.
Better team in the first half, and they were harshly, I think, punished by that penalty. But they responded in the best way possible.
Cheers for tuning in, everybody. I've got a sore foot even more now.
Come off